behind me, a Bigfoot. Oh, you know what? It didn't even change the. It didn't change the screens. This whole time we've been goofing off, and it didn't change the screens. I'll have to fix those while we're sitting here BSing.
Oh no.
Yeah, but believe me, there are new descriptions for this week's episode, and maybe I should hold off until a little later when.
Oh yeah, give a surprise, sure.
Yeah, so nobody knows. That's the fun part. Is like nobody knows what we're talking about until it's too late.
We're professional enough to change things and set things up for later, but we're not professional enough to have it set for
when we start
going live. Yeah.
No, yeah, we can, and we're getting some "What's up, my noids" in the chat. What's up, my noids?
Ooh,
we need to have in the Discord the noid from Domino's or whatever, so that we can, like a black noid, because that's.
Do you feel like that's also part of the apocalyptic nature of what we're going through right now? Like the noid was the final thing. Well, yeah, because okay, you say, your culture's being stolen. They're changing every name, changing all of the characters that you thought were cool. They're not cool anymore. They're kicked out of their position. They're changed, all that shit, right? And then they're remaking everything. It's like just in the most stupid and like just minor to the point of just annoying people, I think. It's like, oh dude, we got a brand new Annie. Okay, what are you doing? Hear me out. She's black.
Well, wasn't she always black? It. Like I'm all of a sudden.
I'm just saying.
I'm all of a sudden at the point. No, hold on. I'm all of a sudden at the point where, like, what's it called? The Mandela effect, where all of a sudden now I'm so used to everyone being black in the reboots that now I'm just like, well, wasn't Ariel always black?
Yeah, weren't they always? Yeah, right. So, dude, by the way, what was the name of the girl who did the original Annie? What was her name? The actress?
Shirley Temple?
Yeah. Dude, there is, and I've seen it, a blackface Shirley Temple video out there. So technically speaking, based on what you just said, yeah, it's true.
I was reading about, and you'll have to forgive me, I'm going to leave it on your face for a moment while I sort out the background.
That's fine.
But so just don't be doing anything like throwing up Hail Satan, or whatever. I was actually reading about this kid, and it's a kid of all people. He's apparently like some kind of prodigy where he was, 13 and he graduated from some prestigious university or MIT or some nonsense, but he holds like these high degrees, and he actually ended up coming forward with this theory that with the creation of CERN, and because remember when CERN kind of came about in like 2000, I mean it kind of became a thing in 2013, 14, 15, like that time frame, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. When we were worried about CERN, right? When they were all of a sudden talking about splitting the atoms of a molecule and shit, and and creating a black hole and jumping into other dimensions and the infinite energy and all that stuff. And we were worried that they were going to rip a hole into another dimension. We were the blackface Annie.
I told you.
All right. Well, Annie, it turns out Annie is a bigoted racist.
I mean, she's a child. You can't really.
You can still be a bigoted racist as a child. I know I was a bigoted racist.
All I'm saying is she was trying to go out for a role. You were on the playground.
I wasn't even alive when Shirley Temple was doing her thing. But no, this kid, he comes forward and he says, "Hey man, when CERN kicked off this whole the Large Hadron Collider, when they kicked that off, we actually screwed up. Like our universe was destroyed, and we were shifted into this parallel dimension, and that is the cause for the Mandela effect." And I said, "That's bullshit." Because first of all, because you're a teenager, and I don't believe teenagers, especially young teenagers, right? with the exception of Kyle Rittenhouse.
Would you find that on your Snapchat or you
yeah? Would you pop open a TikTok video and you were able to develop this theory off of some kind of TikTok reaction video or something?
Exactly.
But no, he said his thing was we shifted to the Mandela effect, and I said that's bullshit. But then I said, hold on. When did I become aware of the Mandela effect, right? Like, when did I become aware that we were misremembering things? Like, when did the concept...
Oh, are you talking about, like, the Berenstein Bears concept?
Right.
Okay, yeah.
When did we become aware of that? When did all of a sudden we realize that we were misremembering stuff? And I realized it kind of coincides with the timeline of the CERN kicking off the Large Hadron Collider. And I realized that this kid may be right. And I hate to admit that this kid is maybe right, but I say this kid is maybe right.
Well, it's interesting. I don't remember the consequence that I had read about, but I do believe that I had seen something about them actually accomplishing opening up black holes, and that's essentially it was a half-assed admission of things coming in and out. Mm-hmm. And so, in other words, it's here. There's something that came through, something, and they wouldn't admit to what it was or what have you. So I guess what I'm saying is, wouldn't it even be funnier if the kid that was right
was from the other black hole?
Or was from the other right? He came through the collider, showed up, like naked Superman or whatever.
Well, first of all, it's the Terminator that shows up.
Oh, that's right. Damn it. Sorry. Yeah. So the naked Terminator, and then is just borrowing leather jackets till he gets to you.
I need your pants, your overalls, and your hat with the spinny thing on the top. That's what he says. Because all kids are like the stereotypical 1920s kid, troublesome kid or whatever, like the kid that broke the window down.
Where's your single gear bicycle?
I need your 10 speed. I need your 10 speed, your flip flops, and and your dirty face. I'm just trying to think of like caricatures.
Just the
of
dirt
kids.
off your face. Yeah, just taking dirt off of his cheeks.
Yeah,
putting it
like,
on.
Just give it to me. Give me a lollipop so I can get it all over my mouth.
I need 3 of your sports baseball cards to put in the spokes of my wheels, and the best switch you got, and that's of course,
and that's where you draw the line.
A stick.
Yeah. Well, the stick, but I need a switch that looks more like a gun than anything else, so I can walk around and aim it at people and scare the other kids.
Dude, can I tell you?
I need a can as well, so I can kick it on the road.
Oh man, or a hula hoop with the
the stick,
Well,
you can double
just running down the road like that. So my daughter now, one of the things she's doing is pointing, which often leads to double guns, which of course I'm intensely proud about. There's nothing to be proud about, but I still manage to be proud of how awesome.
You should always be proud of everything that your kid does, no matter how minuscule, and that will never end, because the more you do that as they're younger, the more like I have my kids are like 7, 10 and 12 or whatever, and they still come up to me and they're like, hey dad, check this out. And it'd be like the most nonsense thing, like that's not impressive or whatever, but I'm always like, whoa, where did this come from? Where did you learn this trick or what? Because I was like pumping them up. But yeah, you got to start young. When they're little, you got to be proud of every little thing that they do.
Well, so here's the crux or the difficulty I'm having, right? Like I'm very excited about this. I'm like, oh, my daughter's doing double guns, man. It's so cool. On the other hand, I remember, and the guy's a fucking liar and whatnot anyway. But do you remember that movie Bowling for Columbine?
Yeah, Michael Moore.
Yeah, in the movie, he discusses the sort of anti-gun craze because of the school shooting, and how a kid was suspended from school for taking a chicken finger and pointing it at somebody. And I just thought, and then I think another one was for double gun, like for little guns with your fingers, like pew. That was someone did it at a lunch table, and I thought isn't it sad that like I see my daughter doing that now and I'm like, she's gonna get in trouble for that someday.
Yeah.
That's what went into my head. It's so fucking weird, you know? It just sucks so bad.
Well, that's when like you just got to remember it doesn't matter. Like none of this matters because like the people who are so think back, like you're old enough to remember a time when people just weren't offended about anything. You know, like we could go about our day and you could use one of my kids actually said they were playing a game called Kill the Guy with the Football. And I was like, "Oh, you mean smear the?" And, you know, my wife's like, "Stop! Don't say it." But like, there was a time where that was just the norm, and you could go, "Quit being such a fag, let's go," you know. And that was okay. You could say that to your pastor, and your pastor would be like, "All right, you got me. All right, I'll quit being a fag." Like that was just the nature of the discourse or whatever. And now,
dude, can I tell you?
Yeah, please go ahead.
No, sorry. Yeah, I'm not even sure if I should say this. It has nothing to do with me, so I guess I could say it. You know, and isn't it so weird, by the way, like the most extreme we could say, oh, remember when no one was offended and it always leads back to the N-word? Like, it's always, like, but I remember in high school, a kid I went to school with, I'm not going to name names, he may have a job and doesn't want to, I don't want to get him in trouble.
His name was Mike. I'm just going to guess every name in the book.
Sure. Yeah, his name is Mike, and there was another kid named Mike. But Mike A is white and Mike B is black, okay? And we're in a science class and we're about to watch like a film or a slideshow or whatever the hell it is. And they turn all the lights out and Mike A out loud to the whole class says,
"Hey, where'd Mike B go?
Hey, Mike B, start smiling or I don't know who to throw this paper at." And the whole room, like the teacher was just like oblivious or just didn't care. The whole room, little laughs, and then they just like threw paper at each other and they were talking afterwards in 10 seconds. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it was just ball busting in the way, like you could say it's wrong, I guess, but they ball busted and it was just like, yeah, that was it. That's it.
Yeah.
You know?
Nobody, and that was, that's speaking of racism or whatever, like blatant racism, you know, we always point to Blazing Saddles, right? Because, you know, it was funny, like being racist. And, you know, when we were in the Army, you could be racist with everybody because we were all, you know, we were all green, right? Is what they would say. Everybody was green or whatever. So, but you could say whatever racist thing that you want to say. And it didn't matter because they knew you were kidding, and then they would likewise say something racist back to you. And that was just how it was. So imagine my surprise in recent years when all of a sudden everybody got very uptight about it. And so this is new, this being offended, but sure, there were people who were offended or whatever. And there were always people, mothers against this or that, or there was always someone getting upset about something. But it was not to the level to where you could throw a dead cat and hit somebody who's offended by anything that you want to talk about, right? So you might say, all right, who would be offended if I made a trans joke or whatever? 10 years ago, you could throw a dead cat 100 times and not hit anybody. You bounce off of people and shit, and nobody would care. Dude,
half the time you'd probably be like, what is that?
Right. There was just not enough people that cared. So even to speak, who would be offended if I was to use a racial slur? You know, 10 years ago, it's like, come on. Not at work. Let's wait until we go out for drinks or whatever. Let's at least, I mean, in front of the customers. Come on, we got to maintain a professional appearance. But then like,
yo, I gotta sell this cell phone. Like,
right? Yeah, like, and that was the sort of stuff that you could say in the break room, but you couldn't say it out in the open or whatever. And so now you can't throw a cat without hitting 5 or 6 people out of 10 who would be offended by it. It's absurd. And you know, these people, they're not, you go back to the whole Darwinism, right? Or the survival of the fittest or the natural adaptation. People have adapted over time to certain cultural behaviors, and among those was racism, you know, like, and joking or whatever, or humor. Like, those are things that we just got used to, and nobody cared across all races. Now people have like devolved to where they are no longer able to adapt. They're no longer able to survive in a society that operates in that way or is willing to accept that sort of behavior. So those people, what I'm getting at is they will not survive. I don't foresee them lasting, because you look at like the suicide numbers, right? Those suicide numbers aren't just people who just had a switch go off in their head one day and they were like, I'm going to kill myself. There's always some kind of, well, not always, but 99% of the time, there's some kind of thing that developed to a point where they were like, all right, I'm going to fucking kill myself because of this, this, and this, and this.
Yeah.
And so these people who are just like perpetually offended, and they'll eventually just say, I can't deal with this anymore. You keep saying racist stuff. You keep making fun of transsexuals. Why do you think transsexuals are killing themselves off at, 41% of transsexuals commit suicide? Why do you think that is? It's because, those people get picked on and they just can't take it, and then nerds commit suicide, or they go on and they push fucking blood clot vaccines or whatever. And they make billions of dollars. But, a lot of nerds go off and kill themselves because they get picked on. Jocks, they grow up and they realize that they peaked in high school and they're never going to be able to do anything with their life because they broke their, whatever. Go ahead. I'm ranting.
No, I actually have I wonder, because we're, of course, in a time now where, like you said, a lot of people are killing themselves, and A, no one seems to care, but B, it's this interesting situation, and I wonder what you think about this. I'd love to know your opinion, because you're saying they won't last, and I tend to agree with you. But do you think there are going to be like this maybe small faction of people, right? Like we've gone through the beginnings of, you and I talk about how we're kind of in Revelation right now. We're going to go through the apocalyptic type stuff or whatever it is. And, maybe we're living in the woods like the people in Defiance, that movie and stuff. Like, who knows, right?
I like to think
can you
Walking
imagine?
Dead,
Well, okay. But then there's this little faction, right? And, there's like the nose rings, the bad tattoos, there's the hepatitis, the blue hair, right? The furry costume, because they could only grab so much on their way out of the house.
Naturally, the furry costume made the cut.
They were in it anyway. They were making a TikTok video, and it's like, oh shit, the zombie's at the door. I just wonder if there's going to be this faction, right? And you go, like, you figure, oh fuck, I ran into the one set of people that are going to be offended in this whole thing, and finally they've seen some shit, so they're just the word. Like they finally met their like they're walking down the street and they go, what a manigga. Like they're just suddenly
they all of a sudden lose all sensitivity.
That's what I'm saying. Like there's a complete 180 to survive. Like they've been on the road. They've got the beard, and they're just like, listen,
I imagine
on this hot topic, you faggot, or whatever.
I wish I could go back to how it used to be at Forever 21. But the furry guy, he's got, like, when you said the beard, I'm imagining how does the furry present himself with the beard? Is it the beard grows on the costume? But no, I think more realistically, either one would be funny. More realistically, he's got the head off, and he's got to take the head off so you can see the beard.
Wouldn't it be great both ways? If the head had stubble, like he just, when they're in their downtime, when they're sitting in a abandoned Aldi's, he's taking the black magic marker and just putting in stubble on the bunny's head or whatever.
He was an art major before the apocalypse. So
finally his degree comes into play.
And the good news for him is that despite Joe Biden not doing this whole student loan repayment that he promised them and they voted for for, that he just announced this week he's not going to do, and all these people are very upset about that.
The repayment. It's there's no reimbursement, but now they have to pay. Like it's not only a reversal, but it's like a double down reversal. Like he ran on, or people think he ran on these really liberal things like,
right.
Oh no, we're going to pay for everybody's student loans, man. We're going to Andrew Yang this bitch or whatever, right? And it's like, not only did he never say that, I don't think, or if he
No,
did, I
he
don't
in
know
fact
if he
spoke
knew.
against it. Elizabeth Warren was the one who was pushing it, and he said, "No, we're not doing that." But people kept believing that Joe Biden was gonna save them from their student loans.
Right. It was just like a cumulative effect of all these shitty people led to, like, you know what I mean? Like, here's Wang, or Andrew, no one's listening. Andrew Yang, I don't know. He's good at math. He's good at math, but I don't trust him on the numbers. And then, here's Pete Buttigieg, who, by the way, we haven't talked about this, and I don't know if there will ever be a time, but did you know that he took a couple months off, not just for parental, or, what do you call it there?
Paternity leave.
But one of the main excuses why he couldn't come back to work so quickly was because he was breastfeeding?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, apparently he chose the role of the mother, and he wore this thing, I would assume a milky bustier or something.
Is it like on Meet the Fockers when
maybe
when Robert De Niro's got the boob on?
Yes, most likely, yeah. So I'm 90. Listen, I cannot 100% confirm because I watch a lot of shows and I hear half things and they might be joking, but I'm 100% willing to believe it and die on that hill anyway. How about that?
I am willing to accept your accusation. That's the thing about the show is like we don't have to tell the truth. Because as we've learned over recent years is like people like Rachel Maddow and Tucker Carlson, they've been able to get off the hook by making like these radical claims, and then they say, well, nobody takes us seriously anyways. Nobody considers us an actual news program. So like we can say whatever we want, and I've kind of like that's become my character is I just say whatever wacky thing I want to say. And sometimes it's true and sometimes it's not. And most of the time I don't have anything to back it up, and I don't really care. And I don't think anybody. I think the people who are in the chat, they don't care anymore. So that's one thing that I hope that you'll embrace. That you'll just say whatever comes into your mind. And half the time you say something, and I'm just going to believe it anyways, because that's just the kind of guy I am. A, because I trust you as a person, but B, because I just believe any old conspiracy that's placed in front of me. I'm always like,
it's almost
Pete
better
Buttigieg
that way, isn't it?
Was breastfeeding and he wasn't able to come back to work as Department of Treasury. Or Department of Transportation? Is that why all of a sudden all of our ships are trying to get into the dock or whatever? They can't even dock, which there's a joke to be told there.
Oh, there's definitely,
with a gay Department of Transportation.
I was going to say, Tom, thanks to the gay man breastfeeding, the ships can't dock and the seamen are all over the place.
There, yeah. See, you had the joke all lined up already. I'm glad I was able to tee you up for that one.
I was going to say thank you.
I do want to say this.
By the way.
Okay, please go ahead.
Oh, so just to finish, I think people misunderstood that there was this compounding amount of shitty people. The Klobuchars, the Kamala Harrises, all these guys and girls. And then suddenly there's this old man Joe still. And they're like, oh, well, he was as old as that Bernie Sanders guy. And they're all kind of an amalgamation of each other. They're just like Jell-O in a fat sack, right? Okay. So I think that's what he said, right?
Did you say girls to include Buttigieg?
Yes. Well, look, it couldn't have been about Klobuchar or Kamala, right?
Yeah.
By the way, again, not knowing the truth, but I choose to accept it. That I saw a short video of Kamala trying to charge an electric car and not knowing if it was working because there was no gas fumes or rev sound, I believe was the and I have to admit, I now want her as our president.
What
there's a difference between evil and brainless, or like evil and demented and actually brainless, and I prefer that one.
I have something I'd like to say about Kamala Harris and that gas station fiasco. Or electric station fiasco.
Do we need to put on somber music? Are we doing a confessional here?
No. The first thing I thought when there were so many words, and I wish I remembered exactly the phrasing of the article, but it used words like chug and plugging and inability to load, or so, like there were all these like all this terminology that they were using, and it was regarding Kamala Harris or whatever, and she had her like crazy face or whatever. You know, I saw all that and I said, I'm not as good at making jokes as you are. I'll admit that. I'll be the first to admit it. But I will say I'm really good at identifying the ingredients to a good joke, right?
Well, here, let me ask you this. Okay. Do you think that's an article written by a guy who knows he's in a dying medium and can't say what he really wants to,
and he just really wants to
like that's the like
make the joke, like he's giving you the ingredients.
He's giving it's a beautiful mind, but for for one article, like, wait a minute, I see all the signs, you know, and then it's cut to the Zach Galifianakis where it's the Pythagorean theorem and the x divided by 2 and all the numbers come up, and then you just see the words, like you said, chug, I don't know, whatever, I can't remember everything else on your like, imagine if you know, gulp, chug, power bottom, something,
belly full of semen, like all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I just wonder if sometimes, because there's only so many things you could do when you have to survive to earn a paycheck, you know? And I heard what you were saying, and I'm like, oh, that dude was trying to send a message. That was his SOS. Like I I was watching a conspiracy type video the other day, and he was doing something about the Telegram, the newspaper, or whatever, and apparently that was used by Allied forces to send hidden messages to, you know, across the sea kind of thing, about strategies and different stuff like that. And that's from all the way back, I guess, in the 30s or whatever. And so I'm hearing you tell the story, and I'm going, that's his that's his, I have a joke about Kamala being a whore, and I can't say it.
I'm not allowed.
She's literally unable to deal with the pumping in the hole because there's no fart sounds and fumes. I can't say what I want. You know,
it's like an anal sex joke with Kamala Harris. Dude. Like, don't you love that we're in a point in our history where, like, every day you get to make dick chugging anal sex jokes about our vice president, like our second most powerful person in the country, in the world, arguably. We could make that argument that the second most powerful person in the world has had a facial from, like, politicians in California. Like, we can make these jokes. And I gotta ask you, Jerry, and I want you to be honest.
Okay.
Given the opportunity, and if STDs or STIs weren't an issue, would you fuck our vice president? Wow. And let's say you were a single guy. And we'll
everything, a whole thing, You know, it's funny. I've been asked this question before. I don't know if you have, but I've seen younger photos of her, but I've also seen younger photos of her sister. And I want to say that the question then was of the two. And at that point, my answer was Kamala. So I guess if I didn't just retch, if I didn't just say suicide, right, then I have to own up to that and say, yeah, it would just have to be very selective in its time and place. You know what I mean? Because now, after all that, it's like, dude, I'm used goods and I'm in better shape. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like,
I don't know. I'll say this. Okay. I'm not going to distance myself from my answer like you just did. I'm not going to play the dance around the Kamala Bush like you just did. I will own it, and I will say, if under totally different circumstances, you know, if I was a single guy, never married, whatever, and the opportunity presented itself, right, and she was not plagued like the COVID petri dish that I know she is, then I think I would. Just be, I mean,
as vice president, you mean, or just in general?
Whoever. just if we were out
So
and,
was
I was out,
she
say
was
I was
senator.
out drinking, and
Okay.
you know we were at a bar and Kamala Harris was
Oh, you're
a
saying
senator
general.
even.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not saying like I wouldn't do it just for the power. Like I would, it had her being vice president has nothing to do with it because I don't honestly
So
think
you're
that her
saying-
position as vice president does anything for me.
So you're saying, oh, okay. First of all, I'm gonna have to stop you there because when my answer, now that I'm thinking more, because you're opening up, I think I have to open up.
Okay, please do. I'd like to not be on this island alone.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to say, I still may end up sticking to. I wish it was a younger version of her, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
On the
that's
other
always
hand,
the case, I think.
right. On the other hand, no, I would take Tulsi Gabbard today. I don't care. That's not always
All
the
right.
answer. Not for me. But
I mean, would you prefer older
Wait, here's-
Tulsi Gabbard to younger?
see, I think if she was like skinny, probably had a 6-pack ab in the army, then you're too much like a man, and I don't like that. I've
Yeah,
always
that is
been
weird.
the comedian, skinny fat body, like I never.
Yeah, like disguised. You don't
Yeah,
look fat until you get your
I
shirt
was
off.
always, yeah, like until now, I was always thin, but I never went to the gym. So like, I had a runner's body, but like, kind of
Somehow.
a little belly all the time. Yeah, somehow. So, no, I think I would still want the Tulsi of now because now it's like, oh, you got a little bit of saddlebags and stuff. I could be confident in myself. It's like, yeah.
She's got those Ray Liotta cheeks.
Right. Right. Oh, that ruins it all now. Or maybe it makes Goodfellas better. I'm not
You
sure.
know what's funny is like if you give Tulsi Gabbard a facial, she looks normal.
It shows where the streak in her hair came from. Dude,
I meant
I would
her
say-
like
I think-
dimples. They fill in, and she just looks
Oh,
like she's got
that.
smooth skin.
Oh, that. Yes. No, I think honestly, if it came to Kamal, I don't know if I saw her like on the street with her big horse teeth and like shitty attitude, and dumb. If I could even get drunk enough for that, like, because I still have to talk to you on the ride of somewhere, you know what I mean? But if you're wearing that pantsuit, and I'm like, oh, if anybody found out, you'd be so embarrassed. This is gonna be great. Like,
So you're
and
doing it out of sheerly
and make
like,
it great.
okay.
You know, like,
See, I'm
this is-
still at a
I'm
point.
I'm saluting a flag somewhere. It's out a window, whatever.
I'm still at
she's-
a point where I would do it just for recreational purposes. Like I don't need to do it out of like out of spite or whatever. I don't care for her as a senator, obviously. I don't care for her as a vice president.
Sure.
I don't care for her as a human being, frankly. But
Mhm.
if Tom Miller were drinking one night at a
Mhm.
hotel bar and I was on the road for one reason or another and it was a nice hotel bar
Sure.
in California and I happened upon her. I was sitting there drinking my rum and coke and
Okay.
out of nowhere, Kamala Harris, already drunk, shows up, sits down on the stool next to me, and she's playing the one for all my friends or whatever. She's doing this number.
Oh yeah.
And
Right.
and maybe I would make a pass at her, and if it stuck, it stuck. If it didn't, it didn't. But truth be told, we're already at the hotel. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not like we
Oh,
have
yeah.
to. And then when it's done, when the deed is done, I can leave. I can just go back to my
Right.
hotel room, or
That's true.
I could just leave my hotel room and leave her there and then check out.
Mhm.
Either way, there's no commitment, and maybe I don't even give her a real name. I don't know. There's no. That's the thing with banging Kamala Harris. There's no
Mhm.
commitment. But anyway,
That's true.
I do.
She
have,
left before you did, and it's
yeah,
her
well,
room.
oh,
You know what I
perfect.
mean?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be the way to do it. That like it could not go any better than if we
Yeah.
did that. I have a joke that I want to tell, and
Okay.
it's not great. So if you guys want to add to it, and you guys in the chat want to add to it, by the way, Jacob, yeah, we'll be here when you get back, I'm sure. I was driving, and this is a true story, by the way, as most observational humor is or is not.
True story, everyone.
I was driving with my wife, and we were heading back home, and on this back road to my house, it's a residential Lee area. I mean, it's kind of like rural residential. So
Mhm.
there are it's kind of a highway, and there are houses on either side. Anyways, we're driving down that, and we see a guy running, and he's in full like jeans, a button-up shirt with like a Marty McFly vest. He's got his mask on, and we're out. This is outside, right? And he's running. He's got his mask on. He's got his hair done up real nice, sunglasses and shit. Totally, like, just a very weird scene, seeing this guy running on the side of the road. And we're like, okay, because that's not a place where people typically run either.
Right.
So we see this happening, and we were like, well, that was peculiar. And we keep driving, and we're like, I wonder what his deal was. Maybe his car's broken down up ahead. Maybe there's something going on up ahead. I don't know. And we keep moving down the road. And as we're finishing up this very brief conversation about what happened, I see on the left side, one of the houses, there's somebody, they're puking in their driveway, right? And this is the middle of the day. It's not like drinking hours where, like, people are out partying and he's got a red Solo cup and he's like, throwing them back in the puking in the driveway, which would be like, okay, it's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. That's a pretty normal sight, especially if it were a college town. It's not, but I'm just like, I'm giving this guy the benefit of the doubt. Well, this chick, I thought it was a chick. It's long hair draped down or whatever, puking in the driveway. I see that. My wife sees it. We both point to it at the same time. Like, there's a chick puking in her driveway. There was a guy running that way in his clothes. Like, something weird is happening. Let me pull over and make sure that this person is okay. As I pull over, we pull into this little, like, parking lot where there's actually a Pokestop. So I was able to snatch the Pokestop while I was driving. Pull around. This dude stands up. Turns out it's a dude with long hair. Looks like the main character from Death Clock. Stands up, goes inside, and just like, they're fine, like wiping their face or whatever, goes inside and closes the door behind them. So it's not like, so this is where the joke starts, right? I'm imagining this guy. He's like inside his house, and it's so gross inside of his house, like. He has to go outside to puke because he's just like, and then like somebody calls him up and they're like, hey, I'm bringing over takeout. Do you want anything? And he's like, you want to come eat here? Eat in my house? I don't even eat here. I don't even puke in here. He runs out to the driveway to puke. So that was my joke. Do with it what you want, people at home. That's a do-it-yourselfer. But yeah, that was what came up this week, and I got some stuff. I'm going to save it for next week because we're already well into our content time. But Jerry, let's do the shot. Let's do the welcomes, and let's get this show on the road because we got some big stuff happening today, and we got another game for you guys. Jerry insisted that we continue with this game motif, so he came up with a new game that we're going to do, and I had to, fine-tune it a little bit because with everything that Jerry does, it's always a little rough around the edges. So. to Jerry's half-assed what
to my rough edges.
Yeah, to Jerry's.
Oh wait, to Kamala Harris's rough edges,
and to Tulsi Gabbard's rough edges on her face. Right. That's different. I'm doing. It used to be I would do some kind of flavored thing for the shot. I've been doing these bourbons and these whiskeys, which I understand that bourbon is a type of whiskey.
Sure.
But this is called New Riff Backsetter, and these are not traditional shot glasses. This is like a double shot glass.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
My Houston one that my wife got me while she was in Texas. But this is called New Riff. It is Backsetter, peated backset Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. Really good stuff. Very, very peaty, as you. And
you said it's called New Riff.
New Riff. It's bottled here. I don't know if it's made here or. Let's see. The
wait, are you saying Next to You by Kangaroo Jack?
Yeah. where is that? No, I think I shipped that out to you.
It's been weeks now. I'm waiting. But since Kentucky got hit by 7 tornadoes or whatever,
our mail system has been a little crazy. So your copy of Kangaroo Jack, $14.95 value, is probably still sitting on a truck somewhere, on a pallet somewhere. It says the unprecedented use of peated sour mash backset lends a lovely smoky tone to our flagship New Riff bourbon. This is in fact. Okay. No, it's distilled, aged, and bottled in Newport, Kentucky, just up the road from me.
Huh.
So.
Wow.
Literally, 15-minute drive from here. I could, that's they carried it in Costco for a while, so I have a few bottles of it.
Well, I'm going to say this to you then. I'm looking at their site just to check it out real quick, and they offer tours. You can visit. So, I mean, if you're that excited, I mean, I'm sure you could get a good tour in.
I'm not that excited. I may have misled you with my enthusiasm. I was just trying to be cool to the company, because I support local companies or whatever as often as I can, and that was one of them.
Dude,
I like
can
it.
I say something, by the way? I hate my state,
whatever.
and I'm looking to move. However, I'm looking at their map of where what states carry New Riff, and mine is actually one of them.
Oh wow!
I did not see that coming.
Well, don't let that be a reason to keep you in place.
No.
Don't let my recommendation, because my recommendation really means nothing in just about everything. My when people ask me for my recommendation, I'm always like, you don't want it, because the sort of stuff that I like is not stuff that you will like, that most people like. So, yeah, Gemini just said let's do some shots. I just did. I think Gemini actually said that prior to. And speaking of.
Yes.
Let me go ahead and say welcome to the chat. Mike in Manitoba, again, is in the lead. Jacob, who's gone right now. Somebody named Dash. I don't know if that's, they've just got a dash for their name.
Yeah.
Joseph Byrer, Your Face. Metapod Bunghole. That's his name. No, I'm sorry. Megabit Banshee. I misread that. Autocorrect fucked me up. And Gemini S. What are we talking about this week, Jerry? What is the? Do you even know? Do we even clarify exactly what we're talking about? I think we've been somewhat ambiguous.
Well, the theme, I think that we're trying to kind of dabble with, is you and I had basically had a conversation about the Travis Scott thing, and then that expanded into, well, this might be the craziest one visually. There's kind of a lot of in real time, holy shit things going on. But as far as actual like satanic or at least, maybe Masonic or, the evil in the background kind of stuff on music and entertainment is pretty plentiful to come by. So maybe we should.
You can't throw a dead cat without hitting. I'm gonna keep using that example as many times as I can.
That's gonna be the one. Yeah. So you can't, like you said, you can't help but you couldn't even pick up the dead cat before tripping over another
some kind of satanic reference in music.
Yeah, whether it's even the Illuminati, like black and white floors on many. Whether it's in the NBC building, I believe, that is Jimmy Kimmel. There's some stuff about him where, he's, of course, made this transformation and gotten a show in spite of not really being funny or popular. And you look at, he's got some ties to some pretty upper echelon types. And on the, the floor is the black and white checkered. And you see that in a number of music videos, of course. And it's all over the place. Whether it's the anti-Christian messaging, whether it's the straight up satanic messaging, whether it's the Dan Schneider Nickelodeon foot fetish child
fucking girls in the
fucking feet. It's a real cornucopia of options for satanic child abuse and blasphemy and all this kind of other stuff.
Can I use the metaphor of it's an all-you-can-eat buffet of
yes,
kid foot fucking? Can I use that an all-you-can-eat buffet of kid foot fucking?
Yes,
in the entertainment industry.
Let me tell you something.
We'll call it. That's the name of this episode. You had me at all you can eat. You had me at the golden corral of little kid foot fucking in the entertainment industry, starring Dan Schneider.
Oh my god, dude! I have to tell you, my wife, like, the more I kind of show my wife stuff that's going on, she's focused on mommy stuff. She's focused on, how we're gonna raise the baby. Yeah. But raising the baby, how we're gonna be as parents, that kind of thing, right? And then I'm the one sitting there going, she'll say something like, oh, when she gets a little older, we should take her to an aquarium. And I go, there will be no fucking aquarium. We might be living there to try to get some clean water out of the fucking whale tank. You know, whatever, right?
We'll have to dip our canteen cups in the shark tank just to get a sip of water.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And then I'm giving her all these different forms of information to show her. It's always show your work, right? Remember that in school? Show your work. Even if you got the answer wrong, if you showed the proper techniques, you may get points credit for it, right?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes
so it's always.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just.
I'm not even going to argue with you because the difference between you and me and showing our work is like the work that I showed. Sometimes I didn't even know the answer and I didn't know how to get it, but I would write a lot of stuff. I would create like the Sistine Chapel of algebraic formulae and or formulae, however that's pronounced. I don't know. I don't speak Latin. I'll do that on a question and hope for the best, and I would still get 0 because they would say nowhere in this did you even have.
It's that
anything.
Adam Sandler movie response, right?
We're all dumber.
Nowhere in your response did you have even remotely a coherent, well thought out, whatever. Yeah. So, I'll show her. What the hell were we talking about?
Yeah, how you'll show her occasionally, like you'll show your work.
So finally, she texted me back a couple of days ago, and in response to me sending
you guys not
stuff,
like live together the way you're like, oh, she texted me back.
Dude, she's at work, I'm at work, and she doesn't want to deal with what she, like she might be in the bathroom and she's texting me, and I have my own office and I have, so I can do that. And so, like, finally she texted me back and said, well, I'm sorry that I thought you were just being over the top. It's true, they're trying to kill us. They're actually trying to kill us, And I said, honey, I'm glad you kind of came, like, I've not been fucking with you. You realize that, right? Like, I'm not. And she goes,
it was never my intention to just be like a nuisance or whatever.
Yeah.
All these ridiculous things I've said.
Oh, I'm such a rapscallion trying to make you think that everybody's going to kill us. And then she says something like, no, but like, I just thought, because you get on one, and you speak very like, everything's an emergency kind of, or whatever it is. And I thought you were just kind of on one every time you would, because I'll say this to her, like she'll say something to me about like maybe the inflation stuff or this or that, right? Whatever. And I'll be in the middle of a sentence and go, and don't forget they're trying to kill us. And so, so like,
it's like some kind of like footnote on every single thing that you're saying.
Yes, it's like, oh, so the price of gas. Okay, so, or the let's say you were mentioning the Pete Buttigieg, the stuff at the dock kind of thing, right? Okay.
First of all, I think it was you that referenced Pete Buttigieg.
I did, but you said I did, but then you said, oh, are you telling me that he's breastfeeding and that's why we can't get stuff off the ships and there's all the semen?
I'll take ownership for that.
You brought up the semen, my man. Sorry.
Oh, man, no, I hate when I do that. I hate that I'm always bringing up semen.
That's it, dude. And so, like, I'll say, like, oh, okay, so here's what's happening at the docks, and this is what, and then go, but don't forget, remember, they're trying to kill us. And anyway, so then, right, and finally she just goes, yeah, they are. And I go, well, honey, I'm sure it was probably hard to accept. Like, seriously, because you don't, like, all right, if there's a major difference between they don't care about you and they're actively trying to kill you.
Yeah.
And I said, I understand there is that difference. And she was already at, they don't care about us. That thing. She doesn't trust government, all that. Like, she's already there. But then now she's here. And I said, well, they do actually traffic in child rape and murder. Like, that's currency to them. So I think it is pretty reasonable that they're going to try to starve it, or whatever. Like,
right.
And that's, I guess I just want to make sure to bring that up as whenever we're going to talk about the messaging in the industry of like music or entertainment, guys, it's a joke to them. they're fucking with us. They're putting it in the things that they give us for entertainment, so we don't realize we don't make the same money our parents did or our grandparents did, and we forget the fact that the generation before that sold us all out by believing the lie that if they get off the farms and just come work for someone else, we'll all be better off and stuff. Guys, it's a fucking joke to them. So when you watch these videos where there's that, what do they call that? Predictive programming, you know? And it's some crazy guy going, no, but seriously on The Simpsons. Or, you know, I just watched a 4-part series of Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings and how all of it leads to, like, you know, a bunch of eclipses and when they're going to start trying to do stuff in the middle and then possibly a volcano and all this sort of stuff. And I said, you know what? It may sound weird, but these are people who traffic in children
yeah.
and would kill you for fun. I'm not surprised if they have some lulls in their movies for them. Oh, this one's, you know, those jokes where, like, we were talking about Dave Attell last week, and he'll tell a bunch of jokes and they'll all hit, and then the last one doesn't make, like, it doesn't hit for his crowd. And he goes, well, that one was for me. You know?
Right.
You're telling me that these sick fucks don't just have something in a movie they're like, they elbow their buddy? This movie's shit, but that's funny. You know? Like, that makes total sense to me. So anyway, that's why we're here, and we're taking piece by piece, a little bit each day, I guess. You know.
I was trying to jot this down so I didn't forget, because I have this tendency to forget, especially as I've been drinking. I have a hard time remembering certain things that I want to say, and then after the show, I'm like, damn, I really wish I would have said that. So I try to, like, every once in a while, as something hits me, I try to leave a note, and then, like, later I'll look at my notes, and they look like, you know, they're all scribbles and shit. And I'll be like, what on earth was I talking about when I wrote that down? But no, when you wrote, there's this, and also, by the way, I want to address this in the chat. Mike in Manitoba said, my wife just asked me, what's their show about tonight? And I said, I have no clue. Because we haven't even given you the topic yet. Specifically, we've given you...
It's been how long?
Or whatever. We're almost at the hour mark.
Almost at an hour, yeah.
And Don Trout says, I'm a Bilderberger. Is that satanic too? I don't know enough about that to answer that question. So I think that's a reference to, like, the Illuminati and the Masonic or the Mason Lodge. And
by the way, I will tell you, just full disclosure, that is one of my people. He's come over from the FOJ Live shows.
Oh.
That's, Don was famously at every show and basically like a third chair, but from the chat. Very
cool. Yeah, we've got, like, all of our people who you see in the chat right now are basically the third chair. They've been stuck with us since the beginning. So to refer to anyone as a third chair, it would have to be all of them. But no, what you said about, you know, there are, you know, there's a difference between not caring and wanting you dead. Right? So, like, they can not care about you, or they can actively want you dead. And then there's also, like, they want what's best for you, which we have yet to see that. Like, it would be amazing if at some point, there are just some people that fit that category. The government and any kind of political agency or any kind of... anyone that is funded by taxpayer dollars does not fall into that area. They are in the... They don't care, or they actively want you dead. So, which is, to me, I don't pay taxes. I have made a very, like, I go out of my way to not pay taxes, okay? And even if it takes me more work than I find that I am valued at for the amount of time that it takes me to get out of taxes, I still do it. Because I fucking hate the government. And I will gladly do everything in my power. I will donate every last thing that I own to count as a deduction. And I will go line by line on a spreadsheet using the yellow paper that the Vietnam Veterans of America gives me. And I will take screenshots of eBay's valuation of items that I donate by line before I will pay taxes. Okay.
Oh, and can I? Speaking of that.
Yeah.
Does that mean if I win all these games, you know, and I give the winnings to my father, a Vietnam vet, could your Kangaroo Jack VHS tape then be counted, that $14.79 be counted as a donation towards a veteran in need?
I would ask that you not donate Kangaroo Jack to the Vietnam veterans. They've been through enough. But I will say that I think Andy Dufresne made that point on Shawshank Redemption when he was explaining to the captain of the guards, Hadley, how he could give the inheritance to his wife, and then the government would not be able to tax it. I think if you receive that Kangaroo Jack, a $14.95 value, and you donate it to your father, who was a Vietnam veteran, I think that the government would not be able to touch that. I hope that answers your question. Nice. I'm not CPA certified. My undergraduate was in business administration. I have some amount of understanding of the accounting process, but I am not a CPA.
You know what? I got to tell you, I honestly want to have. I never get my taxes done by other people. I did it one time, and I want to do it this year, if only to include
the Kangaroo Jack.
The kangaroo, yeah, and possibly the DMX CD. The DMX CD is a bit more believable. I don't know. It's a DMX icon CD. It was one that I got from Best Buy, I think. Picked it up. But that was my youngest son. He loves DMX. He'll listen to DMX all day long. But when he and I were running around before he started school and the other two had started school, he and I would go fishing all the time. And so we would just drive around and we'd hang out and shit, because he was young. He was like 3 or 4, and we'd go fishing, we'd go do shit, and we would listen to DMX at wherever we went. In the minivan, we'd be driving around listening to DMX, and he'd be like, who's gonna find you? Some old man fishing. So you go, you want to go fishing? Say it like DMX does. But yeah, so today's episode is about. Let's narrow it down for Mrs. in Manitoba. We're talking about musicians, modern musicians, because this mini series is going to span multiple weeks, and I hope that you guys are still like hanging around by the end of it, because there's so much. As we started on this one topic, we discover every time we start. Like today, I found a new topic that we have to cover individually because it's so expansive. I'll give you a hint on some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. It's music, modern music right now, and musicians right now who are trying to indoctrinate your kids into Satanism or worshiping the devil or some kind of occult type of magic shit. That's what we're doing today. But you have to understand, we also have to talk about this same topic 10 years ago, 20 years ago, the Satanic Panic, Aleister Crowley. We have to talk about satanic cults. We have to talk about we have to talk about Jimmy
the Church
Savile,
of Satan.
right? I mean, that's another one if you really go back.
Who's that?
He was the
I didn't
I
hear
guess
the name.
you could call Jimmy Savile.
Okay.
He was essentially the British version of Captain Kangaroo, but he was huge. Like, he was at Ed Sullivan level, but he was like a Captain Kangaroo type.
Okay.
And he had access to the royal family. And I believe he was into the dark arts, and he had all these children hospitals with his name on them, and he visited them often. And once
Kids would
he
go
died,
and shit.
dude, once he died, there was so much of it. It's a blemish. If you just look up Jimmy Savile, we might not be able to. We would probably not get through it with how we talk. if we didn't have an intro, just started the show, and talked for 2 straight hours, we probably couldn't really actually finish it, because it's the connections to the royal family, the child murder, trafficking, sex, dude.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
That kind of guy. Yeah, he's like, we make Dan Snyder jokes. This guy, imagine having a children's hospital ward named after you, and then also doing that. And having ties to Prince Charles. Like, The royal family.
Well, we know that the royal family is like involved in all that sick fuckery.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Because, well, now we know. We've seen pictures of the Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell at the Queen's cabin. We've seen Philip. Was it Philip or Andrew?
Andrew was in the. Andrew was the one who said
Is he in
had
America
no
now?
sweat. Well, no. Just remember, he had no sweat glands. Remember, he did that really uncomfortable interview somewhat recently in the last year and a half
With
or so.
Oprah?
And there was a picture. No.
That's a different
It was
guy?
British. It was like a British Oprah type. It was a white woman in Britain doing it was probably supposed to be a puff
white,
piece,
except for the refugees.
Right. Well, it was supposed to be like a puff piece, but he was so bad at answering, even the kind of question where to an idiot would sound like she's really grilling him, but it's all right, put it on a tee, and then, I could talk that one away, or I'm gonna go 7 different ways after. That's absurd, whatever. He was. So there's a picture of him. It wasn't Virginia Giuffre, but it was another trafficked girl who said no, or maybe it was Virginia Giuffre. But anyway, there's a picture of him at some apartment with the girl and Ghislaine Maxwell next to each other, in a kitchen. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And her story was that they went out dancing, and that he tried to get with her and all this sort of stuff. And he said, and she had remarked that he was very sweaty at the club, overly sweaty, gross. And he said, well, that's impossible, because after I served in the forces, I had a sweat gland problem where I couldn't sweat.
What a lazy excuse.
And that was the best he had.
I have no prostate, so I can't jizz inside people. That's along the same lines. Who's going to, could they check it? Yeah. Could you also pay a doctor to be no, this dude doesn't have a prostate?
Dude, right
whatever.
Here. The man who did not sweat. This is the title of an Atlantic article. In an effort to prove he did not sexually...
So we know it's not real.
Yeah, but in an effort to prove that he did not sexually assault a 17-year-old in the 90s, Prince Andrew offered a bizarre medical... So this woman says, she was very specific about that night. She described dancing with you. No. And you were profusely sweating. And she went on to have a bath, possibly. There's a slight problem with the sweating. Wait, hold on. There's a
slight problem with the sweating, isn't it?
All right, okay, Captain. Let me hear you out. Okay.
That's better.
All right, Captain. There's a slight problem with the sweating, okay, Gov? Because I have a peculiar medical condition. Okay. Which is that I don't sweat, or I didn't sweat at the time. That was it? Yes, I didn't sweat at the time. That was
terrible. And I bet he's got fucked up teeth too.
Oh,
all right,
sure.
All right. Let me get this thing kicked off, because we've ripped on the royal family now. I think we've hit the hat trick.
I think so.
So I found some really interesting as I was getting into this, because you've got, I don't know how much of our audience is aware of the modern music scene. I know a little bit, and one of the characters that I think we're going to talk about, I was able to find some that I think we can all appreciate, that we'll all at least recognize the band, if not the actual musician. But I also want to talk about some very some deep dive ones, right? So ones that necessarily are surface level, Billboard top 40 or whatever. I found some, but then I looked at their music and I actually listened to some of it, because I was, I try to be I try to know what I'm talking about sometimes. And
yeah, sure.
I started listening, and as soon as I found these, there's 7 or 8 bands here that I have listed. I didn't want to go forever and pull them all up, but some of them I started listening to them because I'm let me see what the let me see how these people are roping. Are these people catchy? I've heard musicians who are you listen to some heavy metal, you're this is just not for me, because first of all, I don't know what they're saying. Second of all, the music is not particularly appealing to me. But then these bands, I pulled up some of their songs, and they're catchy. I would listen to them just because of the way that they sound. And even the, I don't necessarily listen to the lyrics. We talked about this before the show. I'm not necessarily listening to the lyrics, but I'll listen and I'll hear the music in the background. It'll be background noise or whatever. And that's kind of dangerous, I think. And so, you start putting this stuff on that's got a catchy beat, or it's, just some soft music to listen to. Really weird shit. Some of these bands, like this one right here, for instance, Twin Temple, their album was called Bring You Their Signature Sound. So it's Twin Temple, Bring You Their Signature Sound, Satanic Doo-wop. You look at this album cover, and I mean, it's pretty obviously like supposed to send a certain message. I listened to some of the album, and I got to tell you, it was, I enjoyed it. Like the music was not bad. It was catchy. It was something I would listen to, I think. Now, the lyrics, I think one of the song titles was like, Lucifer, I Love Thee, or something like that. Like, that's the sort of tone that you'll get from this album. I don't know if you want to pull it up real quick, if you can pull up the Twin Temple as I speak about it in this album and just read off some of the names of the songs. But, like, they were very obviously designed to kind of focus on pushing this agenda of satanic
Dude, they sell it at Walmart.
Oh, okay. Well, perfect. Yeah,
well, it's on Walmart's website anyway, I guess.
Well, and it wasn't even that profane. Like, I didn't hear any profanity in it. I don't know if that's how they were able to skirt the parental guidance warning or whatever, and the inability to sell it at Walmart. But yeah, like, I mean, even if you look at this cover, the nipples are covered, and that's kind of the requirement. And I think and you can't see the vagina or whatever. This is like the perfect storm of what's just barely allowable, right?
Right.
And even the music itself, if somebody picked it up, if some kid maybe even downloaded a song, it might compel them to be like, oh, is this what Satanism is all about? Or is this what devil worship is all about?
Do you want the songs, by the way? I found them.
If you could, that'd be great.
Yeah, so here we go. So side A, I'm looking at the vinyl, so maybe on a CD there could be more songs. The Devil, parentheses, Didn't Make Me Do It.
That was actually a pretty good song, yeah.
Lucifer, My Love. Sex Magic with a K. I Know How to Hex You. And then I'm Wicked. Side B, In LVX. I don't know if you know what that might mean. Santa Muerte. Let's Hang Together, Femme Fatale, and In Nox, N-O-X. So there it is. There's your... And the first side, it's a bit more edgy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But I wouldn't... Like, if you just, if the music is as you say or as they purport it to be, and I'm not listening, and then I look at, like, say, the B-side first or something, I'd be like, oh, In LVX, Santa Muerte... Let's Hang Together.
Femme Fatale, it's cultural. Yeah, it's like
I don't know what any of this is. You know what I mean? I just, yeah, fine, whatever. But that first side, it's like, oh, it's a bunch of tryhards. Is that what this is?
Well, and if you actually listen to the lyrics, which I did, some of them, like as I was listening the first, because I listened to a few of those, the ones that were very obviously like designed at Satanism and shit, or devil worship or whatever, or being edgy, as you called it, and which I would agree it perhaps was. I pulled this from a website or like a blog or something about bands that were actively like seeking that agenda, and or involved heavily in the power of the devil and shit. And so that was, some of the lyrics were very like, it was almost like gospel music for the devil. Right, like what you would hear, like "God, I love you," God, "You are so great," "You are amazing," like that sort of stuff. But it was about the devil, is kind of like what I would equate it to, like doo-wop, gospel music for the devil is how I would describe that album.
Yeah. Do you find that these are okay? As far as, I don't know if we want to say offensive or if we want to say almost how do I put this? Like, with this, it's very obvious, right? They got the satanic stuff on the cover. It's all in the names of the titles of the songs and stuff. Like, Do you find that this is somewhat, I don't want to say appealing, but at least they do the work for you? Like you could just go, oh no, but look at this, right? As opposed to, let's say, I've been watching like a 3-part series on Leonard Cohen. And if you look at the lyric, like the blasphemous, fuck you, Jesus, fuck you, God, I'm going dark and I'm willing to kill. If you just tell me that's the one thing I'll do for you, I'll kill people. Like, if you look at that in his lyrics and you're just like, wait, that old crotchety Jew poet guy, like what? Like, you know, what? The guy who was on TV the other night singing Hallelujah? That guy, right? Like, I guess I'm just saying, which is worse to you, the more subversive, where you like you're sold a bill of goods and you don't necessarily recognize it in the Leonard Cohen type situation? Or is it like, oh, here are these kind of tryhards and they're like very outwardly satanic or whatever? But I guess which is, if they're both serious, which one is worse to you then? You know what I'm saying?
You bring up a really good point, and I'm interested in having this discussion as a theologian. From a theologian perspective, because this was one of the topics that I did want to cover at some point in here, but I didn't know how to go about it. So you have somebody who outright says, I love you, Satan, worship Satan, worship the devil, do this and that and the other. It's hard to tell if they're being genuine or if they're just doing it for this to sell albums, right? You know, you've got and we're going to talk about that, I think, in future episodes with the Satanic Panic, is a lot of those guys did it because, oh wow, this is generating a lot of interest. This is generating, a lot of people are talking about it. We've got people who are actively protesting against us. So let's keep doing this. And then come to find out, and I think I even have a few names here of people who are like, well, you know, hold on. Marilyn Manson, for instance, he was named a priest in the Satanic Temple, and in an interview he was like, no, he's like, I was just goofing off or whatever, you know, it was a friend of mine who put my name down and I just rolled with it or whatever, you know, like, and that was, and I get it, but also I think that there are Christians, now it can go either way, I think there are Christians who are very like, oh, I love you, Jesus, thank you, God, thank you, this, you know, and they do the whole thing. And then they go home and they beat their wife and they cheat on their wife, or they you know, sexually assault their kids, God forbid. But they do these things, but then outwardly they're like, oh God, praise Jesus, you know, and then people will think, oh, this Billy Graham guy, right? Or this guy, or for instance, there's like that one guy.
Ted Haggard.
Yeah, and there's like that guy, who's that guy that had the jet? Joel Osteen, and then the guy who had the jet, who was like... flying around all over the place, and meanwhile,
it was him, like, and Tammy Faye Baker, right? Was that him?
I don't remember.
I mean, they had it too.
I refuse to commit like a lot of their names to memory. But they, you know, those are the people who are like very vocal about it, and then inwardly, like when you look at their lives and who they actually are, you know that one day they're going to have to answer for the way that they presented themselves versus the way they were. Now, likewise, you have these guys who are out here talking about, oh, well, you know, worship the devil, Lucifer, praise Lucifer, hail Satan, you know, and that's another thing that we have to get into later on is the whole hail Satan, hell yourself, the Church of Satan, and the difference and all that. But, you know, you've got these people who are pushing this agenda of, like, you should worship the devil, but then in reality, they're like, well, we don't really even believe theistically that there is a devil. You know, and then you've got the people who...
it's more of a cultural thing, right? Like, it's almost...
Yeah, it's like it's paint your face and shit and, you know, draw...
They might as well be talking about Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil,
it's
you know...
None of it's real to them.
Oh, you rapscallions.
Yeah, it's a rebellion thing. It's a trouble thing. You know, you want to... That's like the scary... And Dave Outlandish. I love Dave Outlandish. He's my like alter ego, right? He's like my devil worshipping, demon summoning, total anti-theistic counterpart, whom I love. I think Dave Outlandish is the funniest guy. I've been talking to him a lot lately, and he's been sharing with me some very interesting news. And I hope I can share it with you guys. This is not like a Tom DeLonge thing where I'm like, you know, I wish I could share this shit with you, but I can't. this is something that he has agreed that he will share, but it's just there's some time that has to go before he can share it with. He did say that an interesting thing happened when he did try to approach the God Yahweh, the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, and he tried to throw a rock at God, and he met an interesting fate that lasted about a year of him struggling mentally because he tried to fight God. Remember we talked about this? His intention was to go and to fight God. He tried, and it did not go well. And this is in his own admission. This is my friend, the demon summoning, devil worshipping Satanist church anarchist, who he shared this information with me. He said that I could share that much. He said I couldn't share any more. But he has been going through some very interesting shit too beyond that. And I've been really pushing for him to come back on the show and talk about it, but he's waiting an appropriate amount of time. Very fascinating conversations I've been having with him. But like he said, the sort of people who, when you say anything Satan related, the people who will respond negatively are the kind of people who were designed to respond negatively, right? So like when you say the Church of Satan, or I'm sorry, the Satanic Temple is the one that was fighting to put Baphomet, the statue of Baphomet, next to
they had that documentary about them, right? They were the ones.
Very fascinating group of people. I don't really have an issue with the Satanic Temple beyond the name. And this is what Dave was saying, was like the people who are offended by the Satanic Temple are the kind of people who you'd expect to be. Like they're just gonna be offended by it because the name Satan in the title. And so when you have people who are outwardly saying that sort of stuff and pushing the satanic agenda that's very obvious, like it's typically, I think it has a lot to do with the shock value. And let me burn through a couple of these pictures before I get to my next point here. Here's Those Poor Bastards is a band. the Budos Band. Let me know if you've heard of any of these.
Not yet.
The legendary Shack Shakers. But very obviously some occult symbology or symbolism.
Oh yeah, of course.
Amigo the Devil, Born Against. Now this album cover, like when I look at it, it makes me uncomfortable, and I think that's probably by design, just the way
it's
that
the eyes
staring.
You know? Yeah.
And then we've got Marcus and the Rhythm Howlers. This guy, he's got all of his albums here. I looked at a few of them. They all have this like candy skull type motif that goes on. So, and that's part of their whole thing. Like, sort of like Kiss has the painted faces and shit.
Right.
Dorothy Cottrell. Here's another one with some Wiccan type of imagery. Now this guy here, Henry Derrick Ellis, The Devil Is My Friend. I went looking for a good image to kind of like explain what he was all about, and there were some weird ones of him in the flesh, like in him in the flesh, where he had like his face was all kind of like dirty, and he had his hand out, and he was doing some kind of like occulty type of some edgy shit, like you would put it. But then I look at the album cover here of The Devil Is My Friend, and I couldn't find a better image, right? You've got the church in the background, the dog, the Labrador, right, with the severed hand, the dark sky, the graveyard. I'm like, he's saying all that he needed to say here, just with his album cover. Yeah,
it's relatively well understood what he's trying to convey.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that this dude is now, whether or not he's legitimately interested, because I'm not saying that every single person who's like, praise Jesus, holy God, oh, thank you. I'm not saying that every single one of those people is not genuine. I'm just saying that there are some who are and some who are not. Likewise, I think the same people who are like, hail Satan, and praise the devil, and thank you, 666, Lord of Darkness, like that sort of stuff. I think that some of them are genuine and some of them are not. And so I don't know what these bands legitimately think, but I think the fact that they're pushing it is, well, protected constitutionally. And I will come right out and say that. What they say is protected constitutionally. I don't think that there's necessarily a problem from my position as a patriot saying, okay, well, I don't really care if Henry Derrick Ellis releases an album called The Devil Is My Friend. I don't care if Twin Temple releases one with upside down crosses and, you know, a Baphomet mask on a naked woman or whatever with blood dripping down her tits. I don't necessarily think that there's a problem with that from a patriot standpoint. I think that they are absolutely free to do that sort of thing. Like, we are free to come on here, and I can say that Twin Temple, in the creation of that album, molested a bunch of children. I can say that.
You can say that, yeah.
Because I'm not inciting a riot. I'm not inciting, I'm not causing an emergency. I'm not, whatever. There might be slander, but they would have to, the burden of proof falls on me to prove that they did that. But at that point, I'm just going to say, you know what? I don't have any proof, so I'm sorry. You know what? And that's it. And I'll walk away from it. Fucking whatever. And the worst thing that they can do is take my video down off of YouTube. Take us off of YouTube again for a business week. And
by the way,
go ahead.
Oh no, I was just curious. I'm looking at Don's comment, and he said compare believing in Satan, I'd imagine, with wearing face masks. Are we gonna say it's kind of an occult belief? Probably. I will say that the whole mask thing, of course, we know that it doesn't work, and there must be some other kind of ritualistic problem to what's really there's a background, there's something else going on, and people are ignoring that in doing so, and they're believing in some in fantasy, in awful shit, because I wish that I could walk around, because I'm in a state where people wear them all the time and there's still mandates and things. Like, I wish I could walk around, playing that Fauci clip from when he was on 60 Minutes going, yeah, they don't work. They might drop a little, they might little spittle, this, that, and the other. So eventually, and here's the other thing too, and I've seen this is not my comparison, but the same ancestrally, the same controller type people were into the slave trade and used to put muzzles and shame masks on people then.
Yeah, was it like the horse masks and shit they would put on the slaves?
Exactly. Oh, they put horse masks. They'd put almost like what Tom Hardy had in Mad Max.
Oh yeah, yeah.
On their faces and things like that. And so essentially, that's like almost the mark of the beast in a sense right now, because if we're assuming that there's a lot of evil shenanigans going on here, and that they are.
I can legitimately.
You can actually do it.
I
should have just cued to you.
Evil villain mustache that I can twirl for
you. You twist the mustache. I'll put the girl on the train tracks.
Together we can have our we can be foiled again.
Dude, when I first started doing stand-up, by the way, short aside, I was asked to do a set, and the guy knew nothing about stand-up in a sense, because he said, oh, you've been doing it for 2 months, do 15 minutes. And I was like, that's not how this works. But so I had the amount of time, and I had a friend, I had a big bushy beard like you, and I had a friend who had a twisty mustache. So we were at literally this place called Daniel Street, which was near the train station in that city. So I had him come up in a cape and a top hat, attempting to take a girl that was behind me on stage and put her onto a train tracks in the middle of my set. So anyway, that I've done
Curses!
that. Curses!
Foiled again.
Yes. Damn you! Yeah. So I guess my best bet would say that it's a mark of something. And the people blindly following evil shit. I guess that's the best I got. What do you think, Tom?
I have this whole thing. I think so. I'm an eschatologist, right? And I think I've discussed this with you off the side. Thank you. I think we've discussed this a time or two, where like my specific study in the Bible is largely spent in what happens after we die, the end times, angels and demons, the spiritual warfare, that sort of stuff. And I am consulted, believe it or not, there are people who consult me. If you can believe this, I never thought in 36 years I would have people who are far more intelligent, far more educated than I come and consult me on things, let alone if you would have asked me 5 years ago that would people be consulting you in 5 years on eschatology, I would have said, first of all, bless you, and second of all, what is that, but so like there are people who actually ask me these questions, and I'm like, well, personally, Revelation is like where I spent the bulk of my biblical study, and when I think of the mark of the beast, I think the mark of the beast is very like, the thing about Revelation you have to understand is that it's written by John of Patmos, who you can argue whether or not that was John the Gospel, or the Gospel of John, or if it was a different John, because Johannes was a very popular name and at the time, and now was it a different guy? I don't know, but also this guy, if it's the same John from the Gospel, this is a knuckle-dragging fisherman who didn't know probably his ass from a hole in the ground. Very loving disciple, very loving guy, great, certainly a saint in the church, in the early church, a guy to admire. But as far as it goes with like looking around the modern world, this is a guy who wouldn't know his ass from a hole in the ground.
Rather simple. They called him simple.
I wouldn't say that about him. I would say that he's just not able to grasp the same things, because I wouldn't necessarily call Albert Einstein simple, but if you were to introduce Albert Einstein to some of the stuff that we have today, he'd be like, what? I don't even know how to
he'd be looking at a cell phone and going, right. I don't.
So John, a knuckle-dragging fisherman, being introduced to like masks, being introduced to this vaccine, a chip in the hand, tattoos would have been foreign to him as well. All this stuff, even glasses, like all this stuff, just shit anywhere that like we have had since, I don't know, 030 AD, right? Like anything from that, or I'm sorry, let's say the 70 AD, right? Anything from then on would have been foreign to him. So like when we start talking about the mark of the beast, he has some particular things that he describes that you could apply to just about anything. And I think when we talk about the mark of the beast, he talks about there was a mark on the forehead, there was a mark on the hand.
Right.
We were in the middle of a pandemic where people were wearing gloves and they were wearing masks. Now, I don't know. I haven't done enough of an exegesis on Revelation to really like appreciate what he meant by the right hand and what he meant by the forehead. Maybe he meant the face, because maybe the Greek word for face and forehead are similar. And so we could argue, I could sit here and I could argue, personally, I think that COVID in its entirety is the mark of the beast. I think that it has a lot, or I'm sorry, the COVID is the beast. And the mark of the beast ends up becoming a part of that, which ends up being the vaccine. At first, I thought it was the mask, because I'm like, well, okay, the mask and the gloves and just the protective, just like the awareness of preventative, being so afraid, it's so prophetic that like you could say that the fear of COVID itself was the mark of the beast.
Yeah, because that's one of the things Jesus said, right? Like the one thing is, well, it's not despair, although that's there as well. Like that's one of those kind of things you're not supposed to have, is the despair, of course, because you're always supposed to carry the faith that the Lord will protect you, or all that kind of thing. But wasn't it also that I couldn't possibly quote it, but it was something like, you shall not fear that of man, whatever man can do to you, because that's only here on earth, and that's worse. Not.
It's only your initial physical death. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's also like, like it's your soul that matters, whatever they do to your body, or whatever, it's like, don't fear that, because as long as you're sort of true believer kind of thing, it's not going to matter once you're done. You're going to end up in the kingdom of heaven and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, don't even trip, dog, is, I believe, the exact terminology that Christ used when he was prophesying when he was explaining to John what he said. Don't even trip, dog. Because whatever they do to you physically, it's not even as bad as, like, if you remain true, I will give you a crown, and so remain true to death, and I'll give you a crown. But that's, but yeah, so all that, and I think Gemini, I do want to say bye. Gemini was taken off or whatever. Merry Christmas, Gemini, and, we'll see you next week.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
But yeah, this whole idea of, like, just outright saying shit, I'm not, so you guys all know this about me, like, I have probably one of the worst mouths of, like, your friends, but I'm also, I consider myself to be a fairly devout Christian. I do believe that you can be both. And I think sometimes me having the mouth that I have, if that introduces me, or that gives me the pedestal, or that gives me the soapbox that I need to kind of give you guys these pieces of information, super. Great. That's I'm introducing, kind of like when you go to a prison and you talk to prisoners as part of, like, the chaplain ministry, you go to the VA as part of the hospital ministry, you go to some of these places and you deal with people who just have foul mouths, right? Like me, you deal with some of these people, and the only way you're going to get through to them is if you speak to them in a language that they can appreciate, or that they know that, hey, this guy is not speaking to me from a position of, looking down your nose, right? Like, you have the priest in the Catholic Church, or you have a pastor in a Protestant church who's, like, speaking from a position of authority or whatever. If you're speaking to people, or whatever, carrying on. So, like, you guys know that, I consider myself a Christian. Whether or not I meet the requirements, I don't know. But I will say that there are people who pretend to be, who aren't. There are people who don't pretend to be, or who don't exemplify what you would expect to be a Christian, who are, who actually are fantastic, wonderful Christians, meet every single requirement that is expected of them, whatever. I think the same is true of Satan, or the people who legitimately worship a theistic Satan and want to push that, or push people away from, Christianity or any kind of, like, theism. For instance, and I want to burn through these real quick. No, you know what? I'll come back to that. I want to talk, because you mentioned this briefly about how people kind of speak in a way that maybe isn't as obvious as, like, the lyrics of, or the song titles of that band, the Twin Towers. There are some people who speak a little bit more, they kind of hide the intent of their lyrics. Yes. And what I have here is I have 3 songs that I just picked, 3 modern songs that if you turn on the radio right now, you will hear on the radio. 3 songs. And I didn't even have to go digging. These are just songs that I knew existed because I have heard them on the radio recently. Ty Verde's Let's Go to Hell, which when it came on the radio, that's the name of the song. I'm not even kidding. I'm not being funny or anything. Let's Go to Hell is the name of the song. It came on the radio one day when my youngest and I were driving around, and I thought it was going to be like a metaphor. I thought it was going to be something clever, like Let's Go to Hell. Maybe it's like painting a picture of something else. But no, let me read you some of the lyrics. And this is where after like the first verse, right, I turned it off. Or like the first 4 lines, I turned it off. Because I'm like, I told my son, I was like, I thought it was going to be something else. I was like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave it on for that long. I was giving Ty Verdes the benefit of the doubt. And then I came back later and I looked at the lyrics and I found out like I was right to turn it off when I did. Here are some of his lyrics. The opening lyrics, by the way, to Ty Verdes' Let's Go to Hell. Let's go to hell together. We can burn forever. I got nothing better to do. You know that I'm not a rebel. I just know the devil. Took all the money out of my account. Oh, and this is where it kind of gets into like a, hey, this is what, like, just some bad behavior, right? Took all the money out of my account. I bought an eighth and I bought a pound. Smoke it up till I can't hear a sound. Flip the earth and turn it upside down. Come on, baby, go southbound. Feel the flames, the heat burn in your shoulder. You'll be fine when this thing is over. And it kind of like, to me, as I was reading the lyrics, I was like, this sounds an awful lot like he's encouraging them, like reckless behavior first and foremost. But then suicide, like it gets to a point where I'm like, is he like encouraging people to commit suicide? Your life is super confusing, baby. It's hard to be human, yeah. Oh, running red like we ain't wrecking. No seatbelt, we ain't checking. Baby, you think this is heaven. So, like, to me, again, that sounds like a lot of suicide talk.
Yes. Tom, can I say, by the way, just
please,
real fast, and I promise it'll be quick.
No, you're good.
I have to admit, while these are very obvious and good to point out because they would be on the radio, on the other hand, I cannot really compliment this guy's craftsmanship. There is no flocka. There is no blocka.
I didn't hear a single one. Yeah.
There is no shooter. No shada.
Shada.
There's no shada. And not even the word proper, frankly.
No, I didn't hear that one either. And I can tell you, I read through the whole lyric sheet. I didn't see a single
I'm looking
shada,
at it right now
proper,
because I knew you were going to
flocka.
skip around.
Yeah.
And I heard what you were doing, and I said, come on, just give me one.
Give me a flocka.
You know what I mean? Just in the, like, say, here, for example, the roof is on fire.
Which is a Bloodhound Gang song, yeah.
Yes, it is. Let that motherfucker burn down. Now you, like, somewhere in there you could have said, now you could have said, you and my flocka, right?
Yeah.
You could have said, like, because then you're bringing a flock of people down to hell with it. Makes total sense. Dude, yeah, meet me on the blocka, add you to my flocka. We're going to hell.
Proper.
Let's give it a shot.
Grab a shot. Yeah, so there was none of that, and I can't.
No,
so for that
very
reason, I can't justify it.
I find that to be more offensive.
Yeah, there was, we look at this from a secular aspect. No flocka, blocka, snada, shada. From a secular aspect, I can't appreciate this album or this song at all. Another one that you will not find any blockas, shadas, blockas, or frockas is Billie Eilish, All the Good Girls Go to Hell. Admittedly, I like Billie Eilish. I think that she's a talented musician, okay? That's all I'm going to say, okay? I think she has a way about her, but I think she also probably sold her soul to the devil. And I've made this clear in past episodes where I've talked about how you see somebody who pops up, boom, out of nowhere, and all of a sudden they go down this path of like blatant disregard for any kind of Christian beliefs. You can generally assume that they're, and I bet you, I'll put money down today if anyone wants to take this bet. Gentleman's bet, I'll put $10 on the table that Billie Eilish ends up dead in the next 5 years.
Well, dude, don't forget. Have you seen her lately? She said that she admitted that she had gotten the coof, and that were it not for being vaccinated, she'd be dead. She was near death. She'd rather do that again than or something. And she's. I mean, look. Let's be honest. I don't care what you think about her as an artist. She looks like The Walking Dead.
Oh, she's awful. Yeah.
Just, I mean, before. Other than the messaging, and you start to then kind of not care about what she's going through or whatever, that's the type of person I would look at and go, someone did something to you,
Double or nothing. I bet you $10 that she was going to end up dead of a drug overdose in the next 5 years. Double or nothing, her brother fucked her.
Oh, wow.
Her brother writes music with her. And
oh, boy.
Yeah,
that's
and you know what? Get this. If you look up Billie Eilish, and then look up Billie Eilish's brother, and then look up Billie Eilish's brother's girlfriend.
Girl.
Yeah, just while I'm doing this, I want you to look at that sort and tell me what I was driving at with that. So Billie Eilish is "All the Good Girls Go to Hell." Here are the lyrics. Some of the lyrics. So I cherry picked them. My Lucifer is lonely is a line that she repeats multiple times. Standing there killing time, can't commit to anything but a crime. Peter's on vacation, an open invitation, animals evidence. Pearly gates look more like a picket fence. Once you get inside 'em, got friends but can't invite 'em. All the good girls go to hell, 'cause even God herself has enemies. And once the waters start to rise, the heavens out of sight, she'll want the devil on her team. My Lucifer is lonely, there's nothing left to save now. My God is gonna owe me, there's nothing left to save now. That is Billie Eilish, who, like I said, I think she's a talented artist, but I think it's because I think I'm one of the, you know, when you make a deal with the devil to become famous or whatever, people just think that you're cool. I accused Dave Outlandish of making a deal with the demon that you know, he appear cool to people, and that's why I think he's so doggone cool. Did you happen to see a picture of Billie Eilish's brother's girlfriend?
Yes, yeah. Not only the brother. For those of you who are imagining this and don't want to look it up yourself, he looks like, for those who are Star Wars fans, General Hux, if he's on heroin. The ginger from the last 3 movies of Star Wars on heroin.
Most of us didn't watch the sequel trilogy.
I'm just like, I mean, look, let's see, can I copy this?
Now let me just ask you this. Does Billie Eilish's brother's girlfriend look like anyone else? Like, she
looks like his sister, except like with more effeminate, like she's more
like
of
more feminine Billie Eilish.
Yes, exactly. And by the way, the first thing I put in Billie Eilish brother girlfriend. The first picture I came to was on a MSN article, aggregate article, you know those. Right. And it's a picture of Billie Eilish with the sisters, or the brother's girlfriend, bent over, literally kissing her ass on Instagram.
Oh my goodness gracious!
In pleather pants and such. But
you know what's awful about all that?
Everything
is awful.
Everything.
You know, and
I sent you a picture of Shirley Temple in blackface, and this one was, that one was worse. You know, but look, I guess if you were going to share this with people, I don't know if you can or would.
I don't know which one is Billie Eilish. Now that I'm looking at it,
it's the one on the left.
The one in the middle.
Yeah. And seriously, his name is Phineas, for crying out loud.
Oh my word! Yeah, that's a guy who's clearly fucked his sister.
Yeah, it really has. But so yeah, that's what I found, and I said, okay, that's all I need to know.
You can look at, and I'm telling you, like, there are some pictures.
Do you remember the Angelina Jolie and her brother?
Well, no, I remember she made out with her dad. It was her dad.
I thought it was her brother. John Boyd said something about her being attractive and that she came out of his balls or something.
No.
He said something wildly inappropriate.
He kissed her on the lips, in the tongue. Yeah, he tongue kissed her.
That really?
Who could blame him though? That was uncalled for. All right. Well, yeah. All right, let me talk about Lil Nas X real quick, because I know you're like itching to talk about Lil Nas X. Also, I can't repeat what Superfan said. Superfan texted me and said that he wasn't going to take my bet about but he said he added something that I can't repeat. But Lil Nas X, Montero, Call Me by Your Name. Now this is the song that drew all manner of like anger from moms and dads against, and sisters and brothers, and Billie Eilish's brothers' girlfriends against musicians for making like really satanic, inappropriate satanic. And this is like, even the Satanists were like, whoa. Because
dude, calm down. Yeah.
Lil Nas X, if you're not aware, Lil Nas X did a music video where he like gave a lap dance to the devil. And but there was, and you know, and I had heard about it, okay, and I try to be the guy who's a little more open-minded, because, you know, I'm one of the guys on a show about Bigfoot's penis, right? Like, I try to be a little bit more open-minded, but there are certain things that I refuse, like we were talking about before the show. I don't let my kids listen to Lil Nas X, and I will change the station. And it was around the time that this situation with Lil Nas X. Now, Lil Nas X, I got to give him credit. When he goes for like being, you know, attacked by the media and by the conservative, the moral majority, let me start over. Let me restart from the beginning. When he's looking to really be chastised by the moral majority, by the media, by the conservative public, by Christians across the nation, by moms and dads against whatever, he really knows how to do it, because right around the same time he released this video for Montero, Call Me By Your Name, which, if I'm not mistaken, is kind of like related to that movie about like the gay adult who has like the minor of the same sex who he tries to fuck. And it's called Call Me By Your Name. But anyway, and it was very popular. It was actually part of, like, it was on the Oscars shortlist and shit. But he released this music video with him giving a lap dance to the devil, and like a bunch of shit where he was dressed in drag. And then also at the same time he released this shoe, which it was like a Nike, it had the Nike swoosh on it in reverse. It was,
and by the way, you are absolutely correct. I just looked it up. In 1980s Italy, romance blossoms between a 17-year-old student and an older man hired as his father's research assistant.
Oh, okay. Yep. So it was, I remember it being an issue because I'm like, isn't that a movie about pedophilia or whatever? And they're like trying to give it awards at the Oscars. And I'm like, as if I needed an excuse to judge the Hollywood or whatever. But
well, then you go down the list of excuses, right? It's like, well, no, that's Europe, and their age of consent is different. And then totally it's different. You know, I mean, you know, then you start going down the list. It's like, oh no, it's different because it's guys, and oh no, it's different because they're 17 is legal for them by 2 years. Like you start just, no, I'm just saying, you hear that shit, and it's like, no, that's still really fucked up, dude. You.
I'm just, I'm shaking my head in frustration at the general thing. I mean, even like Pop Squad or whatever, he has to have them be 14. In order for them to like actually make the argument that the person is sick, because 16 is the age of consent in many states, as it were. As much as I want to pick on Connecticut or whatever, you know, that's the state of, or the age of consent in many states. Like half of them, and it's even lower in some states, as I recall. I think some places in the South or whatever, it's disgusting. Even lower if you marry the woman or the child, or whatever. Right. I can't even use the word woman. Terrible. But he released this shoe that was designed to be like the satanic shoe of all things. You know, you're like, oh, satanic music, satanic movies, satanic literature, satanic this and that and the other. Satanic shoe. It's a shoe designed to push this satanic agenda. And it was like Luke 14:18. Forget the passage off the top of my head. But it's printed on the shoe. The shoe itself cost that amount. It was like $1,000 some odd dollars.
$6.66. Am I right?
Well, no. It was that wasn't you. That would be the one that makes sense. But I think he wanted to like go big or go home. He went off of the Luke passage, which was like 14:18, I think. So it ended up being like over $1,000 for this pair of shoes, almost $1,500 for this pair of shoes. And you know, it's got the pentagram or the pentacle, whichever one. It's got like the
1018.
Oh, 1018. Okay, so it's just over $1,000.
And Nike put it out, by the way. It's not like, let's also add that.
Hold on.
Go, please.
I will defend Nike on this, because Nike did not put it out. Nike was very much against it. When they found out that he used the Nike swoosh backwards, they said that that's copyright infringement. Now, whether or not they would have done anything...
Oh, yes, he did.
Depending on whether or not the backlash... Because I'm sure if it were like a positive reaction, I'm sure Nike would have sued and taken the money. But instead they did a cease and desist, and they said, no, this is not our shoe. We didn't do this. But yeah,
they're like, excuse me, we were off making other shoes, but
we were using sweatshops to make
we were off having
shoes.
Excuse me, we did not make a Little Nas shoe. We were reconstructing our netting outside of the factory where people jump onto the net thinking that they may die and not have to make your shoes anymore, but instead we pick them up and tell them they can get a 2-minute lunch and go back to making your shoes.
They throw a lasso and pull the guy in off the net and say, get back to work.
You owe us $9.95 for the lasso.
Yeah, because they have to wash it naturally, and then they have to construct a new lasso for use on the next suicide.
You probably have to throw it out. They have to burn it.
Oh yeah, you can't use it, or they use it as materials for the next shoe, for the Lil Nas X shoe that they just won.
For the LeBron James shoe when he's going to lecture everybody about. All right, I can't even. We're gonna.
Well, I mean, we could go all day, really. Who LeBron James, poor guy, he's in bed with COVID after having been vaccinated and boosted. Poor devil. But speak of the devil, Lil Nas X, in his shoe, what they did was they used red ink, and in the air bubble on the bottom in the heel, they put red ink, and then they also mixed in a little bit of human blood. And in order to, make it whatever, they made 666 of these shoes, limited run. Sold out in less than a minute. Like within a minute, all these
at $1,000 a piece. Yeah.
At $1,000 a piece, they sold out. And then Megapod Bunghole said use a trampoline instead of the suicide nets to get them back to work sooner. And then you've got like the real professional Chinamen who like scoop them as they bounce up. They snatch them with the lasso, pull them back in, and say get back to work.
Wasn't that a Simpsons thing too, by the way? I feel like that's something I saw in The Simpsons where someone tried to jump out of a building and then...
It's hard to make jokes without, like crossing streams with The Simpsons.
Dude, if South Park says literally a show called The Simpsons did it, that's all you need to know, right? I mean, South Park is, in my view, one of the most, if not the most prolific comedy writing show with consistent levels of goodness, of being funny.
I think South Park delivers more often than Simpsons does. But I do think that The Simpsons is, I mean, they have their place, certainly, but they also, they require more prep time. South Park can literally change their episode the day of its release. So that's a benefit that they have in remaining relevant in pop culture. And you can trust them to, be more honest because Trey and Matt Parker or Trey Parker and Matt Stone are, as if they're a married couple. Trey Parker and Matt Stone are Republicans, actually. So Lil Nas X Montero's lyrics, I'd like to read some to you because if you thought a music video where Lil Nas X gave a lap dance to the devil wasn't bad enough, believe it or not, the lyrics are worse. I caught it bad yesterday. You hit me with the call to your place. Ain't been out in a while anyways. Was hoping I could catch you throwing smiles at my face. There's one lyric in here I'm already thinking of, and it's disgusting. It's so terrible. Romantic talking. You don't even have to try. You're cute enough to fuck with me tonight. He's talking about a guy, by the way. Cocaine and drinking with your friends. You live in the dark, boy. I cannot pretend. I'm not phased, only here to sin. If Eve ain't in your garden, you know that you can. Call me when you want, call me when you need, call me in the morning, I'll be on my way. Call me when you want, call me when you need, call me by your name, I'll be on the way. Like, I want to sell what you're buying, I want to feel on your ass in Hawaii. I want that jet lag from fucking and flying. Shoot a child in your...
Oh my god.
Yeah, you already knew where I was going with that. Shoot a child in your mouth while I'm riding. I want to fuck the ones I envy. Well, and then here's where it gets really deep. And if you guys ever thought Lil Nas X was like a lyricist, a poet, a modern poet. Well, I'm just feeling, I want to get, I'm I'm still, ooh, AA. Those are the end lyrics of Lil Nas X's Montero. Call me by your name, and that leads us into our game for this week. I'm very excited. This game is called, at the recommendation of Jerry, who created. I will take credit for the content, but Jerry did come up with the idea because I was really struggling this week. I was having a hard time coming up with something that we could do for a game, and Jerry just I ended up texting him just like in a panic, because here's the funny thing, and I'm gonna do this because V used to do his intermittent fasting thing, and you know, like, if you don't talk about your time at the gym, it didn't happen. So like I didn't used to wake up early to go to the gym, but now, because I'm unemployed, right? I'm a student and I'm retired. I didn't used to wake up early to go to the gym, but now I do. And Jerry, he finds like that it's appropriate to text me early in the morning now that he knows that I'm awake and I'm at the gym, so he can text me and ask me shit. So I text him this morning and I say, hey man, I need help. I said, I can't think of a game, because he had said earlier in the week, he said, listen, he's like, that game show shit is so funny. We need to keep doing it. People love it, which I knew that people were getting a kick out of it or whatever. So I'm like, all right, you're right. I said, I'll do what I can. I'll come up with what I can. This morning I messaged him and I said, hey man, I have nothing for the show, for the game show. I was like, I need your help. What do you got? And he threw this idea at me and I loved it and I rolled with it. I said, just give me something rough, whatever. And he threw it and it was great. It's called Heaven's No, or I'm sorry, Heaven's Yes or Hell No, or Oh Hell No. The the world's most offensive.
Excuse me. Wait a minute.
Please do it.
Oh heavens yes, or oh hell no.
The world's most offensive true or false game on pop culture comedy. This week with your hosts and contestants, Tom and Jerry. Since whatever, we're both whatever roles, it doesn't matter. None of this matters. It's like Drew Carey on Whose Line Is It Anyways? Not where the points don't matter and none of this matters and who cares. This week we're going to be playing a game of true or false, in the form of, and that's kind of what this game is going to be for the rest of this series, I guess. This oh hell no series.
Heavens, yes.
Oh hell no. It's true or false in that format. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you a name for this week, at least. I'm going to give you a name, and you have to tell me, did so-and-so make an appearance in the music video for Montero or Call Me By Your Name? Now you have to tell me if that person or that character or whatever, now that it may not be that exact person, it may be Lil Nas X portraying that person, okay? Mm-hmm. But did that person make an appearance in the music video Montero by Lil Nas X? Okay. So your first question, and here's what I'll do. I'll show you if it's no, then obviously there's not going to be any picture. If the answer is, or I'm sorry, if the answer is oh hell no, then there's not going to be a picture. If the answer is heavens yes, then I'll show you the picture.
I'll just do this.
Oh heavens yes.
Oh heavens yes.
Okay. So the first question is, and I'll repeat it each time, okay? This is an easy one, just so you can kind of get a feel for it, okay? Okay. I've tried the pictures. Did Lil Nas X make an appearance in the music video for Montero, Call Me By Your Name?
Heavens yes.
Heavens yes. Like I said, this was the easy one. Yes. Yeah. Here is.
It took me a second, literally, because it was that easy. I was like, wait, what? You mean, did he appear in his own video? Yeah.
Yeah, clearly he would have to. But sometimes you never know. You never know if he was. Here he is under the tree. I assume this is supposed to be a recreation. Yeah, the tree of butt sex or nut sex or whatever it is. Either one is fine. Here he is playing a guitar under the tree. In the video, if you have not ever watched it, which I encourage you to never watch it, a snake curls up and the snake ends up being like temptation, and it's a very like allegorical recreation of Genesis. So very good. You got the first one correct, Jerry. So the next one, this is where, it's going to start to get a little tougher. Maybe you'll have to, you might have to go with your gut. sometimes you'll be able to realize based off of the absurdity of whether or not it's a real thing. So I guess I should tell you what you're playing for, right? There is a prize this week.
I thought this was playing for my soul a little bit. Heavens no. I would never. Oh hell no. I would never make you compete. Dude,
for
I
your
feel
soul.
like eventually there's going to be a show where we have a third option answered. Lord have mercy.
We'll see.
I think we could talk about that for a later show. But as soon as you told me where you were going with this show, I said, "How is there not a Lord have mercy?"
And I think that answer might apply to most of these questions, but it might also apply to this prize that you're competing for this week.
Oh, awesome!
You've competed for a film. You've competed for an album. Yep. What do you think would be next on the list of things that you can compete for as far as media goes?
So movies, music. I don't know. What we got?
A book. Now here's it's a book.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we take it to literature. Now this to me is probably the most classic form of entertainment. I mean, it dates back millennia, right?
Besides Stories at the Fire, this was the first one, right? This is what we're talking about.
Once we're talking Gutenberg, right? The press.
Yeah,
Steve.
Steve.
I don't think that's the guy. But anyways, this is a very rare, one-of-a-kind copy. Bernie Sanders and the Communist Manifesto. A one-of-a-kind book. And
can I tell you,
workers
the
of
quality... It looks like a hot dog above his head from here to me.
Well, let me zoom in a little bit. Bernie Sanders and the Communist Manifesto. We saw the popularity that came with JKK Rowling, right? Is that her name? I assume.
Yeah.
With Harry Potter.
Rowling.
JKK Rowling. Turf extraordinaire. We saw the popularity of her Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. We saw those. And what, Karl Marx created, Bernie Sanders perfected. And he capitalized, no pun intended, on those promises that, the promising... The money that came from the Harry Potter franchise, he saw that, and he decided that he was going to jump on that bandwagon. So, workers of the world unite. See, here we've got the actual one-of-a-kind...
They're pictures.
Yeah, this is... let me see if I can find a good picture for you here. Yeah, workers of the world unite here. You can see...
Can I say, I actually assumed there would be no pictures to save ink for the people.
No, you got to understand, the workers, they seized the means of production and they were able to include pictures. Okay. So for instance, let me just read an excerpt for you from Bernie Sanders and the Communist Manifesto. In the conditions of the proletariat, those of old society at large are already virtually swamped. I mean, this is legitimately what you might have read under Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels. But it's got Bernie Sanders' picture on it. This is a legitimate copy of the Communist Manifesto, but it is with, classic Bernie Sanders fashion, he's just put his name on it, and he is made it his own. I'm just going to borrow it
for a minute, you know?
And he's going to make a quick buck off of it.
I'm excited. This is fantastic.
That's what you're competing for today. Bernie Sanders and the Communist. Go to Washington, D.C. on the Washington, D.C. Express. Get yourself a magic wand, because guess what? If you answer these questions correctly, you're getting yourself a copy of Bernie Sanders and the Communist Manifesto.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Next question. First one we know was Lil Nas X. That was a gimme.
That's right. Okay. That was very easy. Yes.
Okay, the next one, little bit more difficult. Okay, should be prepared for this. Did Marge Simpson make an appearance in the music video for Montero or Call Me by Your Name by Lil Nas X?
I'm going to say no. Oh, excuse me. Oh, hell no.
Well, Jerry, are you sure? Are you sure you want to go with that answer? You got to remember, let me just ask you this. Mm-hmm. Are you willing to, we're going to do something like on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Oh, okay. Oh.
Okay. I want you to seize the means. I want you to think for a minute about seizing the means. Okay?
Right. Yeah.
Now, you said, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Is that your final answer for the Bernie Sanders and the Communist Manifesto? Is that the answer that you're going with? Or would you like to reconsider?
I think, you know what? I think, honestly, now that we've thought about it, he's taking things that are sacred, culturally at least, and doing the devil's due with them. So I'm going to change my mind and go with heavens yes.
Heavens yes. Is that your final answer for Bernie Sanders and the Communist Manifesto?
That's what I'm doing. That's it. Final.
Okay. You are correct. Marge Simpson did make an appearance in the music video Montero, or Call Me by Your Name.
I have to admit, Tom, this is yet one more character that they just recast as black. It's lazy as anything.
You would think that they would they could have introduced it. Surely they could have introduced another character. Isn't Carl from The Simpsons black?
Yeah, just give Carl a wife.
Yeah, black.
That's all.
Yeah, bring a black Carl onto the show. That's too easy.
That's it. So lazy.
But then again, I don't know. What if time will tell, I guess, if whether or not we're going to get a black woman, a black Marge on The Simpsons. Because, remember 10 years ago, you would have thought that Berenstein was spelled E-I-N, not A-I-N, right?
Right.
And here we are today realizing, oh, it's A-I-N, not E-I-N, right?
So
in 10 years, we may be having this discussion on You Had Me at Bigfoot episode, like 350?
3,000.
Yeah, something. We may be having discussion about how we remember Marge being yellow. I don't know. I don't want to I don't want to go too far. But very good. Yeah, you got that one right. Let me go ahead and mark that down. The next one, this is... See, I don't even know the answers to these questions, truth be told. Let me see here. Did Mustafa of Lion King, did Mustafa make an appearance in the music video for Montero, Call Me by Your Name? Mustafa. Do you recall the movie The Lion King?
Of course. Are you serious? Of course. It's the second or third most famous James Earl Jones role. The first
what would be okay.
The first, possibly the crotchety neighbor in The Sandlot who owned the beast. And second, of course, and second, of course, the professor in that movie where the white dude was in blackface to get into college. I can't remember.
I don't know, but I'll tell you what. I have to.
Not Darth Vader. Not his role in.
I was waiting for Darth Vader, but we have to take a word from our sponsors for a moment, so I can go take a whiz.
Okay.
right, welcome back to the network television's top #1 program, game show program, Heavens Yes or Oh Hell No, the world's most offensive true or false game. We are back on the question, and Jerry's been struggling with this question here. Did Mustafa and I was corrected in the chat. You might think it's because I'm drunk that I called it Mustafa, but in my notes I wrote Mustafa. And I was sober as a judge when I wrote these notes, I swear to you.
Wasn't that also a Disney character anyway? So you're
Mustafa?
Potentially forgiven.
I don't know. Mustafa?
Well, he's a waiter in Ratatouille.
Oh, okay. So technically I was right. But no, I'm thinking of Mufasa. Your face is correct. Your face in the chat, he's corrected me. It is Mufasa. Does Mufasa make an appearance in the music video for Montero, Call Me By Your Name, by Lil Nas X? Jerry, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so I've thought long and hard about this. And like I said, he's going to take yet another iconic thing and just tear it right down. So I'm going to go, yes, he's going to play an openly gay Mufasa.
You were correct. Mustafa. Lil Nas X does recreate Mustafa in the clouds. Mufasa. Mufaster. In the clouds. As he's speaking, if you recall, this is when Simba is an adult at this point. And Lil
and
Nas
his dead
X,
father comes back to lead him to be, to guide him to be a leader. And here it's just a cum cloud made of cotton candy and semen.
Yeah, it's disgusting. And I can only imagine it smells, frankly, like bleach and perhaps pennies. Is like, when you smell like a storm coming in and you're like, oh, it's going to rain for sure.
Yeah.
But like this time you probably smelled some bleach and pennies, and he's like, wait a minute.
That's right.
This is not.
Did you know that's
father.
actually how there's a storm supposedly coming in Nebraska? That's actually how they tested it. They went, do you smell bleach?
Like jizz.
Do you smell bleach? We're about to get hit real hard.
It smells like jizz in here. What's going on? Oh, well, it's a storm. That's how it smells when it's about to storm. We are like
just
the nation.
Take the umbrella down. We're done. Come on.
We're the gay capital of the Midwest. Now the next question, I hope that you get it right. I don't know if you'll be able to guess this. This is a bit of a curveball, if I say so myself. Not that I wrote these questions or anything. Now, have you ever watched the music video for Montero, Call Me By Your Name?
No,
Jerry?
I have not.
Okay,
no.
okay. So you're just using logic to figure these out.
I'm winging it. Yeah, okay. That's it.
Well, tell me this. Do you think, did a white person make an appearance in the music video Montero, Call Me By Your Name?
Just any old That's a great question. There are so many reasons for and against. You know what? Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no.
Oh, hell no.
Oh,
well, let me go ahead and show you. Let me see if I found a picture of a white person in the music video.
Okay.
Nope. Oh, hell no was correct. Oh, hell no. You were right, Jerry. Good for you. There were no white people in this music video. You'd think there would have been at least one, right?
Look, like I said,
just like
there's a lot of pluses and minuses for why you would think, like, okay, there's been no. You know what's funny, by the way? Out of all of this that we are rightfully admonishing this person for, there's none of the race baity shit. He's just like, look, I want to talk about Satan and homosexuality to your 5-year-old and sell them and sell 600 and sell 666 shoes with blood and Satan on them. But I don't care if you're white, black, or Hispanic. It doesn't matter to me. Just buy my shit.
I'm
taking your kids.
Michael Jordan said this. He said somebody
I know
think
exactly
asked
where
him.
you're going.
Yeah, somebody asked him about speaking out about his politics, and he said,
right.
Republicans buy shoes too. That was his answer. So I think Lil Nas X probably took a little page from Michael Jordan's book there and said, Christians buy shoes too. He didn't go as far as to making shoes that Christians might buy, but
right.
He was like,
no, I think he said, look, all the children of Satan need shoes.
They all need something to cover their feet. So
yeah, what am I going to start segregating Satanists?
I'm not going to I don't want to alienate the Satanists, right? I want to include them in footwear, right?
Could you
I don't want to just
meeting?
make Jesus shoes. I want to make Satan shoes too, right?
Dude, could you imagine that meeting? I'm already on a limited clientele. I cannot possibly.
How do I alienate these people more? I've already got the gays, and that's it.
Right.
The gay cowboys. That is how can I alienate those guys? Let me go ahead and specifically speak to the gay the gay Satanist cowboys. Can you imagine though the guy who's out on the ranch on his horse, with headphones on and a Walkman, and he's like, "Good for him." That's what I'm talking about. He's got the pentacle necklace.
I want to let you know this is not a well-known fact, and I researched this while you were speaking. That is actually what Jake Gyllenhaal has been doing since Brokeback Mountain.
Did he finally quit Heath Ledger? Well, he had to, I guess.
He finally
right?
quit him. Yeah, he's been. After A, he nearly killed his sister in The Dark Knight, and then B, killed himself. Yes, he has finally quit Heath Ledger.
Good for him. Good for Jake Gyllenhaal.
Could you imagine, by the way,
finally quit a dead gay guy?
Dude, could you imagine Jake Gyllenhaal just walking around the deserts of Wyoming with Little Nas shoes on and just...
I try not to imagine Jake Gyllenhaal in Lil Nas X shoes.
He's just topless in booty shorts with Little Nas shoes on horseback, just going, I'm gonna ride to my
horse to the old town road. We didn't even really get to talk about that, about how Lil Nas X was out there, purposely trying to indoctrinate your kids. Anybody who's got child age kids, I know there's a few of you out there. Let it be known that I'm not, you guys laugh at me about turning the station and forcing my kids to not listen to Lil Nas X when it comes on the radio. Let it be known that he was actively trying to infiltrate the elementary schools and try to convince...
He literally did.
Yeah, he did.
We have video evidence.
Did. And he was proud of it. He was proud of doing so. But with that, here's your next question, Jerry.
Here we go. All right. Here we go.
Now remember, the answers are heavens no, or heavens yes, or oh hell no. And the level of however much you want to put into it is up to you. I'm not going to judge. Even a simple heavens yes or hell no is acceptable.
I hold back only out of respect for my wife and daughter sleeping above my head. Outside of that, if we do a special different night, or if it was at closer to the 9 o'clock hour, you'd be getting an emphatic answer. Okay?
Yeah. Oh no, I appreciate whatever you're willing to share with me. Now, did the Smurfs? You remember the Smurfs from the old cartoon, little blue guys?
Mm-hmm.
Did the Smurfs make an appearance in the music video for Montero, "Call Me by Your Name" with Lil Nas X?
I'm gonna go with hell heavens, yes.
Oh, you threw me for a little loop. I thought you were going to say, oh, hell no. The answer, of course, you are correct. It is, heavens, yes. Heavens, yes.
Dude.
The Smurfs did make an appearance in this
It makes total sense. Like I said, it's cultural iconography. It's for children also. And there is a suspicion that there's religiosity to the Smurfs in that they are polygamist Church of Latter-day Saints characters who are then tortured by Gargamel.
Who does Gargamel represent?
Gargamel represents an amalgamation of all things evil, and including the Catholic Church, which often had priests and nuns wearing all black.
Oh, that's true. I've read that.
Listen, I may or may not have already begun writing my own predictive programming breakdown of the Smurfs and the Church of Latter-day Saints connection. I may have.
Oh, I'm glad I muted that just now. I did not. And it's so funny that you're doing this because this is before I wrote this up, these questions and answers. I listened to a lot of nonsense on YouTube as part of
preparation for the show.
Some of the stuff that I listened to is so stupid, and like one of them, especially with the Satanic Panic stuff, somebody was, they were making the argument that the Smurfs was part of the Satanic Panic.
I've heard that also.
Was because it was like there's one guy, right? Papa Smurf.
Just Papa Smurf.
And like the rest of them, right? And it's like all of a sudden the Smurfs was meant to be encouraging you to get into this homosexual lifestyle. And so and I look forward to talking about this, and I know we're like way over on time. Like this went from a 2-hour episode to 2-hour show to a 3-hour show. But I look forward to talking about the Satanic Panic and how absurd it was. Because as much as I'm the guy who's like, you guys need to be careful, like I'm also like the guy who's like, well, the Satanic Panic, a lot of it was nonsense or whatever, and it was a CIA operation, a psyop to try to convince you that there's no such thing as this other shit.
Ironically, satanic CIA that has openly admitted that they have a multitude of child sex crimes and other sex crimes that are well known and have literally gotten in the way of them conducting business, and not a single person is going to jail. Not a one.
Well, I'm holding out hope that this Ghislaine Maxwell thing. No,
there are other jails they could go to, So
the Smurfs are never going to pay for their innumerable crimes.
That's it.
The
crimes against humanity.
Crimes against Smurfmanity. All right, so the next question is: did Kratos from God of War make an appearance in the Mustafa, or what the hell is it called? Montero, Call Me by Your Name? Did Kratos from God of War, specifically from God of War Ascension, when he was like held by the various chains? Did Kratos from now? Let me ask you this: yes. Are you a video game fan, Jerry? Do you play video games or?
No, I would not dare say that. I do play them occasionally, but I would never dare say that I'm a gamer. I haven't played on the computer since the original Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein is how.
Wolfenstein, excuse me, I forgot he was.
Einstein Try.
I forgot he was there to buy and sell. My mistake. Sorry. But also, with the games, like modern games, I have a PlayStation 4. Yes. I have Spider-Man and a 2018 version of an MLB game. And that's, and Minecraft, which I bought for my wife.
Sure.
And then I have the NES, Super NES those mini simulators, like they look like the old game systems, and they come. Yes, there we go. And so I got one of those at the beginning of COOF for my wife because she couldn't go to work, and she was like, "Well, Well, I said, all right, I don't know if we're gonna be able to keep making money, but here." And so that was that, and we've been able to play Super Mario 3 quite often, and Contra. But I would never say, I don't do it often enough. You know what I mean? But I will tell you
who Kratos is, though.
No. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this: on every aspect, like that we've done here, we've gone classic cartoon movie.
Yeah.
We've gone classic cartoon show.
Mm-hmm.
We've gone classic cartoon adult show.
Yeah.
These are all teenager level kind of areas. So I'm going to say heavens yes.
Heavens yes. All right, let's see what you got.
Yes.
Did Kratos from God of War make an appearance in the music video for Montero, Call Me By Your Name? I don't know. We'll see, I guess. Yep, the answer is yes. Boom. He did. He sure did. There he is. My favorite part about this was, like, as this video was going on, as much as I didn't want to be watching that video, every time something popped up that I'm like, well, that kind of looks like such and such, I'm always like, I can use that. For you. Yeah, I was like, I could just use that as an example. Okay. Okay, this next one, a little bit of a curveball. I hope that for your sake. Now, and I'm going to tell you, if you want to walk away right now, I can give you a copy. Yeah, I don't have anything. You can't walk away now. You have to play it through to the end. Okay, next one's a bit of a curveball, like I said. Did any talented musician make an appearance in the music video for Montero, Call Me By Your Name? Did any talented musicians appear in this music video?
And I'm assuming we are excluding the glory that is Lil Nas X.
Well, I don't know. It would really just depend on your opinion of, or what you would classify as
a really talented musician.
I guess talented musician. Talented or talented musician.
Yeah, so what's interesting? I somehow smell Elton John here because he keeps trying to hang on.
Oh, the commercials. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. If you remember back in the day, Eminem offended a lot of people by his use of the F word, F slur. And Elton John famously came out and he was like, look, I mean, I don't love it, but it's fine. And then they performed together, I believe, at the Grammys or the MTV Music Awards. I can't remember which. And, he did the music for that Dido riff song, Stan,
yeah.
And then, of course, Eminem became adopted by Elton John, if you remember. And they had a platonic father-son relationship thereafter.
I recall all that happening as you described it.
I'm thinking he could be here, but at the same time, he did spend many years pretending to be straight and had a wife. So I'm going to toe the line and say, you know what? In spite of his adopting Eminem after he said faggot a lot, I'm going to go no musician, none. No.
Okay.
Oh, hell no.
All right. Well, I will say this is for
This
you
is
recall.
This is for all the bread lines.
Bernie Sanders. I want you to remember that your decision.
Look, I know what's on the line, pal.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear.
This is for all the bread lines. I'm gonna keep saying that so it's a good line.
Workers of the world unite, because the answer is no. No talented musicians made an appearance in this music video. All right.
Fantastic.
Yeah, you went with your gut, and I think that it paid off. So
I think so. It at least let me tell that Elton John story.
The Elton John story was pretty funny, I'll be honest. Man, I'm sitting here trying to like. All right, here we go. All right, I got some stuff going on my phone here.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Not important.
If we need to wrap up, we could rapid fire.
No, not at all. Not a big deal. This, I'm telling you, this. I know how much this book means to you, Bernie Sanders. And
Can I also tell you? I think the people who are still hanging in here with me, they're on my side. You know what I mean?
I think so too.
It's like it reminded me of those again. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire shows. Remember, they would go through one, and if someone performed poorly, they would try to put 2 people in the seat or even 3.
I don't know that I remember that.
Yeah, but they would never stretch out the time of the show. So there would be moments where someone would be in the middle. And, whether it was Regis or Meredith Vieira or the other person years later.
The fella, who would you prefer be the host of Who Wants to? Because we remember it was Regis. Didn't Regis die? Regis is dead, if I recall, right?
I think so, yeah. I think he is dead. But he was the host, yeah.
Now, and it was the lady, right? The weakest link
Meredith.
lady? She took over, right?
Meredith Vieira.
Okay.
She took over. And then there was someone else after.
Is it
That's
Drew
a great
Carey?
question. And by the way, Regis Philbin is dead.
Okay. I remember him being dead.
Yeah. Yeah, he is absolutely dead.
Okay.
At 88.
Is there anyone who disagrees with that?
Oh, dude, holy shit. All right, so here, check this out. I had no idea. It's Regis, and you can make your vote here. It goes Regis from 1999 to 2002. Meredith Vieira from 2002 to 2013.
Oh, she was there for
So she was
long. She
seemingly
was
the longest standing. Right. Cedric the Entertainer from 2013 to 2014.
I thought it was Terry Crews.
Well, I'm getting there. Then Terry Crews from 2014 to 2015.
Over. Okay.
Then Chris Harrison from 2015 to now. And Chris Harrison hosts The Bachelor, to give you an idea of the person, because the name may not ring a bell.
I don't know who Chris Harrison is. But that's okay.
Well, whoever watches The Bachelor.
I don't watch The Bachelor, so.
Right. Well.
So let me ask you this. While we're still on this program, I consider myself the new living Regis Philbin.
Okay.
Regis Philbin is how he talks. Now, if you remember, you are competing for Bernie Sanders and the Communist Manifesto.
Actually, Tom, I have to correct you. This is how Regis talks.
Please do.
He's dead. That's how
well,
he
I
talks.
know. I realize. I got the joke.
I just had to. Okay.
I got the joke, doggone it.
I don't know how drunk you are. You might have also thought my mic dropped, like that kind of thing.
I check your face when like I hear silence. I check. I'm like, is this part of his joke? I wonder. No. So the next question is. The next question is on Heaven's Yes or Hell No, the world's most offensive true or false game. Did Cinnamon, the stripper who told me she really, really liked me during a lap dance, make an appearance in the music video for Montero, Call Me By Your Name? That is Cinnamon, the stripper who told me she really, really liked me during a lap dance once. Did she make an appearance?
This is so easy. I can't even believe it. I honestly, they were getting so much harder, right?
And then out of nowhere.
and then out of nowhere. Now the only wait. See, because here's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, oh hell no, because I didn't expect one woman to be in this.
Yeah, what a rare
video.
opportunity for one woman, for some woman in rural Kentucky to come across, this opportunity. But
exactly,
stranger things have happened. Would you agree?
Yeah, yes. Well, that's what you know. What? Because the technicality is that he could play that person, I'm going yes. Heavens, yes.
4. Well, no, this is not even for all the marbles. This isn't even for Bernie Sanders and the Communist Manifesto. This is, let's see, did Cinnamon, the stripper who told me she really, really liked me one time during a lap dance. Did she appear in the music video Montero, Call Me By Your Name? She did. She did, in fact, appear in the music video for Montero, Call Me By Your Name. Now the screen is not rotated. Do not change the settings of your screen. This is how it appears in the music video.
Okay. All right. Well,
yeah, believe it or not, I'll tell you what, you're on a roll, Jerry.
Oh my goodness! I got to tell you, I'm getting good at this. I think.
This is what, week 3 that you've been
third week of this.
What? Let's recap. Let's do a bit of a recap. What games have you played? You've played some kind of.
Here we go. I wrote it down. Remember?
Okay.
Because I had to get it right. It was Yemen's Well of Beirut, or Artificial Neovaginal Reconstruction.
Yeah, that was a good game. I recall that game.
There was that game, and then of course last week, it was the Travis Scott themed game, where I had to insert lyrics. I don't even remember what the other questions were after that. They were good also, but just the skill of putting in blocka, flocka, shada, and proper in the actual spots. It wasn't like just 2 squares. You know what I mean? It was like 7, and to get 6 out of 7 the first time and 7 out of 7 the second.
Yeah, you did better the second time, which is weird.
Yeah, there was like 45 minutes and more booze in between, and somehow I got it more right. I don't know how.
I'm impressed.
And here we are. Yeah, and here we are now.
Final week. Well, no, this is not the final week. I say it like the game is like we're done after this.
That's it. Sorry, this is the last.
I just spoiled the surprise. So, no, we have 2 more questions. Okay, you're very close to taking
By the way,
home.
Mike, I'm sorry, I have to address this. Mike, I believe, is addressing my ginger nature by saying that I'm on a cinnamon roll. It's either that or my cholesterol. I'm not sure which.
I thought it had to do with Cinnamon the stripper who said kind things.
That makes
to me.
total sense. Here I took.
You're like getting offended for no reason. You're like, well, you know what, Mike? I'll tell you what.
Look, I'm a ginger with soul. Okay.
You have
sweet.
You have 2. Well, that's a compliment, really. Then a cinnamon roll.
That's. I took no offense. I just assumed it was apt observation.
No, yeah, no. You're definitely on a cinnamon roll. If I can, take
Agreed.
that and roll with it, and if I can cinnamon roll with that,
you can.
You're on your final 2 questions.
Fantastic.
This one, they're the 2 tricky ones. I'm gonna tell you.
Okay.
Because this next one, you have to ask yourself. Did the 44th president of the United States of America make an appearance in Montero, Call Me By Your Name? Now, did Barack Obama, the 44th president of the United States of America, did he make an appearance in this music video? What do you think about that?
All right. I think. All right, this is tough. I'm gonna lay it all out here for you.
Yeah, talk us through it.
Where my mind's at. Yeah, I'm gonna say. See, here's the problem, right? Famously, we all remember Jussie Smollett, right?
He's been in the news lately. Yeah.
Been in the news, and he was in the news before this album release, which is pertinent because at the time, both Beyonce's family and the Obamas were involved with getting him out of immediate trouble and jail time. So, as a gay black entertainer that lied to the public and wanted to stir up shit that was pretty fucking evil when you come down to it, is it possible that the Obamas would dip their toe in yet again to that realm?
It's tough to say.
And would they do it knowing that that guy associated with Miley Cyrus and Billy Ray Cyrus?
Yeah, that adds a layer.
Yeah. It's a multitude. Okay. You know what, though? I don't think they could help themselves. I'm going to go yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
You think Barack Obama...
Heavens, yes.
You think Barack Obama appeared in the music video for Montero, Call Me By Your Name by Lil Nas X? You would be correct. Barack Obama, the 44th president of the United States of America, did make an appearance in the music video, Montero, Call Me By Your Name. There he is, right there.
Can I tell you, I'm just glad Mike Tyson's still getting work. Because... Oh, goodness. I can't believe it. That's awesome. Mike Tyson.
I like Mike Tyson.
Yeah, I got to tell you, for a guy who, you know, supposedly, potentially raped a woman and beat the shit out of her or whatever, he's not bad.
Wasn't he charged, like actively charged and sentenced with raping a woman?
Yeah, he went to prison.
So it wasn't really like supposedly, right?
Well, that's to say that no innocent person goes to prison. You know.
So you're still like going to bat for Mike Tyson here?
Well, look, it's not as if the entertainment industry has ever ignored past very vile past discretions and made someone out to be a national treasure or anything.
Or like a regional treasure, yeah.
Well, listen, Mike Tyson, since he beat the shit out of a woman and raped her or whatever, although I will say, here's a little bit of doubt to throw in, and I know we're already late, so I'll make it quick. Patrice O'Neal did a bit about this, and for those who know Patrice, understand what is about to be said. Patrice O'Neal said, you know, I don't know if I believe the whole Mike Tyson beef because of something she said in her testimony. It's a dead giveaway. Couldn't have happened. She said that he broke into her house, came in through the window, got into the bed, laid her down, kept her down, and then ate her pussy. He goes, you mean to tell me that a man came into her room and at what is basically a physical gunpoint was like, get the fuck down, get the fuck down, and then did this, Tom?
I'll tell you what.
He goes, are you kidding me? He's like, bitch, you sit right the fuck there while I gently caress your foot with my tongue, you know.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. That's something that you do for someone you love. And I've talked about this multiple times in the past. You know, you don't use your mouth unless you legitimately love someone, or unless, and let's even take it back a little bit, unless you really like someone, right? That's something that you do for somebody that you really like. This is not somebody that, like, there's no, in order for you to achieve any kind of sexual gratification from it, you have to have some kind of emotional attachment to that person. There's no real sexual gratification that comes from eating a woman out. There just isn't. And so, like, when I hear somebody say, oh, he sexually assaulted me by eating me out, I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and pump the brakes there. Because there's more to it than it's like when a married woman...
Story, yeah.
Yeah, it's like when a married woman says, my husband raped me. And I'm like, well, no, that can't be. Because you guys are married. Yeah, like, that's just a silly thing to say. You know, now, if he beat you within an inch of your life and anally raped you or whatever, that's something else. But when you're like, I didn't really feel like having sex, and he had sex with me, you don't get to decide that. That's just not a thing. You guys are married. Go ahead, Jerry. Go ahead and challenge me.
Well, what I would say is, what the problem I would have with the statement is that there's no indication there was a communication. Do you understand? Like, all right, so hold on. Let's say, yeah,
I am lying next to my wife in bed, and there is at least a neutral understanding that we are married, right? Like, at a minimum, neutral. We didn't go to bed in the same bed, like wanting to choke each other to death, right? Like,
which could be also part of your marriage, but
who knows? But you don't go to bed in this, like, look at the worst relationship that you know. Do those people go to the same bed, or perhaps do they, like, does the husband sleep on the couch? Does the wife maybe sleep in the she shed? I don't know. You know, they don't sleep in the same bed. They're not going to curl up next to each other, right? Yeah. I don't think that's the case. And
the communication part that I'm saying, right? Is there, because there has to be distinctions between things. I think people just throw out things to get the attention first, and then everybody's backing up later going, wait, what did you just, what? Because if you say the rape, that of course is very serious.
Oh, for sure.
And it's like,
scary word.
What the fuck did you just say? What are we talking about here? And your brain's already going into 10 steps and defense how do I defend? Do you need something? Right? There's all this kind of stuff. And then if you say, well, yes, what happened? Well, I didn't show any real indication that I was not into what was about to happen. And even if I did, I was kind of like iffy, and I've been iffy before when I want them to touch me, and then we do, and then I get into it, and it's been a while, so I'm glad he did, and this and that. Well, this time my mindset never really changed, but I also didn't tell him to stop or do anything, and so that to me is considered rape. And I'm sitting there like thinking of the brutality that is typically associated, right. Not just I changed my mind in the middle of it. I was trying to give it a go, but I never really got there, and so
now without it's rape. Or afterwards, I didn't get off, so it's rape.
Right. So where I would challenge you is in your statement, you literally said, "Well, unless he beat you within an inch of your life and then did something," I'm like, "Well, that is it, isn't it?" To me, like, okay, I'll give you an example. And I'll flip the script. Are you ready for the script being flipped?
For sure.
All right. In my younger years, I was wasted one time, and I called a person over to my home, if you catch my drift. And I was so drunk, I had to be put to bed, and I fell asleep. And I woke up to them doing things to me. Now, as a 6'5" male, if I ever said that this girl raped me, I'd be laughed out of town, in spite of the fact that it was by definition exactly that. Taking advantage of an inebriated person, unconscious at some points, and doing what you want. Now, that is nothing like what you just said in terms of like in the scenario of like, I just kind of wasn't into it and I changed my mind and I never said, and blah, blah, blah. And still no one would, like, barely a whisper would ever be made on my behalf to say, yes, that is actually the definition of it. They'd go, oh, wow, that really sucks, dude. You woke up to getting your dick wet. Like, that would be, you know, I've had that happen to me. Literally told that story to someone. They were like, wow, sounds like a real bitch, you know. So that's my point, is when I hear it, I'm like, you can't just be like, oh, no, I didn't communicate or change my, like, I just kind of changed my attitude about the whole thing. And now thinking back, he really should have known that. And like,
so let me ask you this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, and I won't belittle your experience, because obviously to you, that was rape. To the guy who did the...
Well, no, I'm just trying to say to you, that is the actual definition. I'm not telling you how I feel.
I get it. I'm just saying, I'm trying to look at it from all angles. So from the literal definition or whatever, or from the position that you presented it from, of like, oh, well, that was rape, to the guy who was like, oh, sounds terrible. Oh my gosh, awful. Oh, you fucking banged some girl or whatever while you were sleeping. You know, whatever. You're a 6'5" guy, which I didn't know until I think you probably told me this before, but like last week when you mentioned it or whatever, I was like, dang, he's like almost half a foot taller than I am, because I'm 6 foot, so I just barely make the cutoff of not being like tiny. But like, you're 6'5", you're a big guy.
Big guy.
If you didn't want it, and I'm not going to sit here and say that you didn't want it. I'm saying if you really didn't want it, you could have shoved her off, right?
Oh, sure. Well, I didn't actually tell you how it ended, but
okay, yeah. Well, hold on. Well, let me finish it, pretending that I don't know, that we don't need to know the rest.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
But
sure.
if you at this point were to come to me and say, Tom, I was raped, and I would say, well, gosh, what happened? You know, looking up at you, like, well, what happened? You know, and you tell me, and I'm like, well, what was she, like 400 pounds? Why couldn't you knock her off? Why couldn't you backhand her off of you? Why couldn't you push her off and roll the other way and whatever? Why couldn't you have done these things, right? You're a big guy. I might push that thing on you, and you might say, well, I was, and then I would make the argument, well, then it probably wasn't as bad as you're making it. Maybe you're trying to get my sympathy or whatever, which I will give you my sympathy if that's what you really want. But to me, it sounds like you were eventually okay with it, or at the time okay with it, or maybe confused, or maybe who knows. But when you talk about a woman who is lying in bed with her husband, and she didn't want to have sex with her husband, but her husband spits in his hand, warms her up, and then bangs her. To me, I don't think that there's such a thing as now. I think within married couples, I think there are times where absolutely it's rape. I do.
Sure. Well, yeah, you had said it in your defense. So,
I would say that, there are certain situations where I think certain things have to be in play first, where like the woman says, I am no longer happy in this marriage. I have no interest in working it out with you. I am kind of in this position where I'm living in this house because financially it's what we have. It's, we have kids together. I think financially it's the most responsible thing. And I sleep in this room and you sleep in that room. And I think when the husband comes in, kicks the door in, and he smells like booze, and he drops his cigar on the floor and stomps it and throws the bottle against the wall, and he comes over and slams her head against the wall and fucks her from behind. I think that's rape. I think that's absolutely
that's
rape.
A pretty bad thing, yeah.
I think, though, I think when a husband and wife are lying in bed together, a bed that they share, and she is perhaps sleeping, and he curls up with her, and she doesn't push him off of her, or make like a very obvious distinction of like, get the fuck away from me. You know, like why he would be in the bed with her to begin with, or whatever, if that were the case, if that were the feeling or whatever. I now, granted, I crawl into bed with my wife, and I have been married for 15 years now, and I've crawled into bed with my wife where she just wants to get a good night's sleep, where me curling up on her, she's not necessarily wanting to be curled up on, and she'll like kind of like nudge me off a little bit, or be like, like try to roll over or something, you know, she'll make some kind of subtle indication that, hey, I need a good night's sleep. Okay, got it, I'll roll over. But, and I'm gonna say this, and this is a little personal, this might be a little TMI, if I want sex with my wife, she'll give it to me. But I know that there are times where she doesn't want it, and I won't pursue it, right?
Sure.
So, and even if I did pursue it, and I knew she didn't want it, or maybe she wanted a good night's sleep, I still would not consider it rape, and I fucking do know that she would not consider it rape, right? Because...
yeah.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Oh, no, well, I was going to say, everything that you're saying comes down to the communication part that I mentioned, because, again, you just, like, physical or verbal communication existed in every example you gave. You know what I mean? Like, so every time, have I wanted to do something every time I was asked to do something? No. But do you do it because X reason, you know, oh, I love them and I have to, or whatever it is, you know? To me, then, if that's the mentality, just because if it's sex or if it's doing something else, if you're saying, I don't really feel like it, but I know it'd make you happy, that's not that's not the way that's not the same thing as the other description.
Well, let me
that we were given.
Let me ask you this then, Jerry.
Sure, yeah.
If I am a woman, I'm a beautiful woman walking down the road, and now suspend imagination. Suspend your imagination for a little while.
Okay.
I'm a beautiful woman walking down the road late at night, and I'm wearing some sexy, outfit because I was out clubbing, right?
Sure.
And I'm with my gal pals, and we're heading back to the apartment or whatever. We're heading back to my girlfriend's apartment or whatever. And some riffraff comes around the corner, and and they very obviously mean to fuck us bloody, right?
Jesus,
they mean to rape us.
My goodness.
I, knowing what I know about the human condition, about rapists, about criminals, about the male penis, right? I know that the only way I am going to prevent a bad situation is if I let this guy fuck me. Is that not the same thing that what you just said, where the communication thing is, well, if I love you, I'm going to let you do such and such. If I don't want to end up bloody and bludgeoned and on the side of the road fucked anyways, probably an emergency room, is that not sort of the same thing?
No.
Okay.
Because there's no unless there's something I'm not understanding from your marriage example, there's no threat of violence. You don't know my
marriage.
Well, that's just it. But there's no threat of violence. In this one, it's literally to avoid further violence and harm by letting a certain level of violation occur. That's not the same as, well, I don't feel like it, but it's been a minute. My husband, I'll do it, right? That just you know what, I'm gonna make my husband happy even though I'm not into it. That's not the same as, you know what, rather than be murdered, I'm gonna just take, you know what I mean?
Let's not
That's
turn
not
this rape into a murder. Is
right.
that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
that's not the same. Yeah, because unless there's something wrong with the marriage where the idea of saying no or giving any pushback, like, hey, give me 24 hours, I'm not even showered, whatever, like any excuse that you could give, if that would turn into a beating, then yeah, maybe it is closer to what you're saying, because it's like, oh, I can't even just be not into it for 24 hours without getting smacked around or whatever.
What if it's
Then
been a
yeah.
week? What if it's been a
Oh,
week and she hasn't put out?
well, then I guess you're right. Yeah.
What?
No.
Yeah, then you can whoop her a little bit.
Yeah,
No,
then
but,
I mean, come on, no.
no. So
But
what?
yeah.
No, my question is, and I'm obviously not speaking from a position of like, hey, this
By
is
the
what
way,
my
this is a
marriage
hell of a.
like.
I don't know how we got here. By the way, after Lil Nas X and the Smurfs in.
We're
his...
not even on the final question. We have
Oh
one
really?
more
I
question.
thought we.
Yeah,
Oh my
no,
goodness.
you had
how do you
not
top
won,
the 44th president?
You haven't won your copy of Bernie Sanders and the Communist Manifesto. But no, I'm starting to wonder, like, what is the, there's obviously the happy marriage and the sex whenever either one of them wants it, and that's a method of them expressing their love for one another, to the to the guy who's trying to like rape somebody on the side of the road, which we like acknowledge as rape. Like, that's no shit.
Yeah,
that's
that is
obviously
absolutely
rape.
yeah.
Like, at what point on this spectrum does it go from being rape? Because I think of rape as like there's got to be a spectrum, right? It's not
Sure.
like, well, this is rape and this isn't rape. I think there's got to be like kind of a line, like we're traveling along this thing. This is rape. This is rape. This is still kind of rape. This is still rape. I still would consider this rape. And then here we are with the the typical modern married family or whatever. Where's the cutoff for like, well, okay, no reasonable jury would consider this rape. Like, where is that? Right. Like, and
I think
that's a really fun question to explore. That we've kind of already started that, and I know we have to ramp this up because now we're down to 4 viewers. People who are like, I can't do this anymore.
3 hours.
I can't do any more rape talk. But yeah, there's like the very obviously rape, and then the happy family. Where along this spectrum does it stop being rape? Where you would particularly consider, okay, well, that's not rape, that's silly, and I would never, under any circumstances, if I were in the jury box, consider that to be like rape.
Well,
Anyways,
you know where the trouble is? No, my final thought, and then let's do the
it.
last question. Final thought is, the trouble with all of this is if you don't have a stranger danger situation, and there's any kind of history or kind of acknowledgement that things were going in a particular way. Like, let's say you had a nice date. You're not necessarily married. You just had a really nice date, and then you were starting to do things, whatever. Then it starts to be a he said, she said thing, which gets very complicated.
Oh, sure.
Because if you don't say this, and it's just all up here, or if, well, we weren't there and you say that you said it and then you did, there's all kinds of complications that come with it. Not that I would assume that anybody's going to lie, but there are liars out there. People do lie. Or just misinterpretations become criminal, that kind of thing. So I think even with, like, say, the marriage thing, how could I possibly judge that if a couple agrees to a particular situation where, like, oh yeah, just to make each other happy because we don't care about whatever, you could do whatever you want either way. Like, then even if the description to me would be, wait, you weren't into it at all and it still happened, that's
then you like lose all sorts of respect for your partner.
well it's just like, well, if you guys do that for each other, then that's your marriage, and it's not, because then it's an agreement, there has to, so I think it's a very complicated situation, because the same act in that circumstance, if the couple didn't have that kind of lifestyle and agreement, then it could be, but if they do, then it's how they do things, so it's I don't know if the answer will ever be clear cut.
We may never know whether or not that was rape or not.
No, but what we will know is all about the Smurfs and their satanic cult and or Church of Latter-day Saints lifestyle, depending on which place you fall.
As I recall, they fall into many of those different things. So let's recap real quick as we get to the final question, and whether or not. So this final question decides whether or not you go home with a copy of Bernie Sanders and the Communist Manifesto. So we had: did Lil Nas X appear in Montero, Call Me By Your Name? Did Marge Simpson? Did Mufasa? Did a white person? No white person appeared in it. Did the Smurfs appear in it? Yes, they did. Did Kratos from God of War Ascension appear in it? He did, as a matter of fact. Did Cinnamon, the stripper who said that she really, really liked me during a lap dance, did she appear in it? Yes, she did. And did the 44th President of the United States, two-term President Barack Obama, did he appear in it? He did. Now, Jerry, your final question for all the Communist Manifesto by Bernie Sanders. Mm-hmm. Did the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who died on the cross as payment for your sins that you may redeem eternal salvation, make an appearance in the music video for Montero, Call Me By Your Name? Or do you think that he perhaps distanced himself from it entirely? Do you think he totally avoided making any kind of appearance in this music video, Jerry? You tell me.
Oh, hell no.
Oh, hell no.
Hell no.
Oh,
hell no.
Hell no, you are correct.
Hell.
Jesus Christ gave Lil Nas X's music video, Montero or Call Me By Your Name, a very wide berth on this. So
that would be a pass.
You have earned yourself a copy of Bernie Sanders and the Communist Manifesto. Can I say this? I've been wanting to brag on this. This is an actual copy of the Communist Manifesto.
That's incredible.
That I own, and I made this today. This cover.
You did?
I did. I made this, and I took a glue stick and I glued it to the cover of my copy of the Communist Manifesto. But I designed it from scratch. The Bernie Sanders, I had to download a font that was Harry Potter, and then I had to create the little logo here, the background in the Communist Manifesto, and the background with the star, the Russian USSR star.
That is incredible.
But yeah, I wanted to brag about it this whole time.
That's great work. Yeah.
But thank you so much. I actually, I from my, that's why I kept wanting to share it, because it looks legit.
That looks legit.
Just from the camera, you're like, oh dang, that's the Communist Manifesto. Yep, Bernie Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
The Communist Manifesto. I was very proud of it, so I wanted to brag on that for a minute. But no, thank you, Jerry, for a wonderful. I think unfortunately we didn't get to talk specifically about Godsmack or, and I want to address this right. too. How Tom, my tagline is found rare non-satanic lyrics in Godsmack songs, because Godsmack, the lead singer of Godsmack, actually dabbled in the occult, and he was part of the thing that we were going to talk about. As a matter of fact, I'll read them off real quick. These are people who dabbled in modern music and somewhat modern music. Godsmack's Sully Erna, David Bowie, Led Zeppelin's Jimmy Page, Megadeth's Dave Mustaine, Alkaline Trio, and Blink-182's more currently Matt Skiba, and My Chemical Romance's Gerard Way, and Elvis Presley all dabbled in the occult. So those were all individuals. Also, if you read Jerry's description here, discovered no difference in records being played sideways instead of backwards. I've been watching a lot of stuff about the Satanic Panic and stuff, and so I wanted to include both of those things. But thank you guys for tuning in. Jerry, did you have anything that you wanted to shill? I know I want to make sure you have an opportunity at the end of every show to, to shill or whatever you got to say.
Yeah, like honestly, all I have is Telegram, and I don't know how to shill that properly. So
we don't have a Telegram. We have it's the Discord. Yeah. The Telegram is just where you and I chat.
Yeah, so if like you want to find me on Telegram, my at is at no thanks. Nah, N-A-H.
Hell no.
Nah, no thanks. At nah, no thanks. That's it.
Right on. Well, you guys know where to find me, and if you need help finding Jerry on any of those programs, just direct message me, and I'll redirect you to where you need to go. Other than that, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm having a lot of fun lately. With Jerry taking over V's new spot. Granted, we go a little bit longer, but I think we have a little bit of extra fun with these games and with some of the other nonsense that we bring. Again, agreed. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you guys all next week.
Adios. Cool.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.